Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting night of Backmarkers Racing here at the Backmarkers Racing League YouTube channel. As a part of the SLiDESIGNS Truck Series, we are in Race 5, Week 5 here in Season 1 of the SLiDESIGNS Truck Series for the Alabama Send It 250, presented to you here by our sponsor, SLiDESIGNS. And of course, as always, want to give a big thank you to our series sponsor and race sponsor, both SLiDESIGNS here tonight. With a little bit of a shout out, SLiDESIGNS. I have a good note here about them. They want to, Steve, he wanted me to give you guys a little bit of some insider scoop, some insider knowledge here. With over 20 years of professional experience and unique designs that meet NASCAR official standards, look no further than SLiDESIGNS for your iRacing livery needs. Go visit SLiDESIGNS _ on Instagram today and reference Backmarkers for 10% off. That's SLiDESIGNS _ on Instagram. Now, tonight is going to be an interesting one because we're plate racing. Woo! But also, we are going to have a little bit of a change up in the booth here tonight. Tyler DeTalent, sorry to say to the DeTalent section, he's not going to be in here with us tonight because he will in fact be on track. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Tyler DeTalent. He will be running on track in the 18 car. It will say 29 in the timing tower, but just ignore that. Who needs details, right? He will be the number 18 for up and coming racing, filling that developmental seat. So in his stead here tonight, we have the very talented and the very clever and dare I say handsome Kevin Baumler here from Arca. How's it going, Kevin?
I'm great. Really excited for this race and watch these truck guys put on a show for us tonight.
I'm telling you, man, there's nothing that gets my blood boiling a little bit more than some good old truck racing going on. So very excited for what's going on here. We usually kind of at this point in a race, we kind of wait for qualifying to get started, but things are starting a little slower here today. We got about 4 minutes or so after practice. And we thought it might be a cool idea to pull some guys up into the booth for a pre-race interview before they all get out qualifying. So, of course, we wanted to go ahead and talk to the man himself. We just spoke about him. We got to give the DeTalent section what they want. I think we need to talk to Mr. Tyler DeTalent here. I don't know about you. Let's see if we can get him pulled up here.
Yeah, let's see here if I can do this properly. First time.
This is Kevin's grid walk. We're gonna see how this plays out, if it's good for ratings.
Tyler DeTalent, it's Ryan and Kevin in the booth. You have us? Uh-oh.
Oh no, Mr. DeTalent, where are you? Tyler DeTalent. Well, this is the unfortunate nature of live interviewing. Sometimes the guy is just not there. Let's move on to somebody nearby here, and we'll pull him back in right afterwards. He might be stepping away for a moment here at the hauler. Let's talk to another first-time starter, not in Truck Series, as he did run Michigan, but this will be his first full-time spot, picking up the 4th charter spot for Off the Wall Racing. It is Austin Holbrook. Let's see if we can get Austin here. Hey, Austin, how's it going? It's Rain and Kevin in the booth.
Pretty good. How you doing, guys?
Pretty good, man. Well, I believe we just had some questions for you. Kevin, you want to fire a couple at them?
Yeah, Austin, obviously this is your, I believe, second truck start this season. You just announced that you're coming full-time onto the truck schedule. What's your thoughts on the season and your plans for tonight?
I think we're just going to kind of take it easy at first. I'm glad Superspeedway kind of get settled in with everybody. Don't want to ruin my welcome. But then we got Bristol next week, so I think that's a pretty good track for me. So hopefully we can get a little momentum between the two of them. Try to catch up to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe, I think if I remember correctly, I watched you race ARCA Bristol race last year, and you were fairly quick. I don't know if Talladega would have been my first choice to start off the season, but obviously we're glad to have you here and looking forward to you putting on a show.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, good to have you up there in the booth. Look forward to watching the stream after.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's go ahead and stop pestering him for a moment, but I went ahead and I sent a shout out Mr. DeTalent's way. basically telling him just to come bother us when when he gets a moment. But in the meantime, we kind of talked about it. I think there would be a really great interview here just before it gets to qualifying to talk to the only other plate racer winner so far this season in Steve Loving, who won in Daytona. So let's see if we can catch up with Steve real quick here. Hey, Steve, it's Rain and Kevin in the booth. You got us?
Hey, what's going on?
Well, not a whole lot, man. Just getting ready for some good old plate racing, breaking in Kevin here, letting him get some early questions fired off at people.
Yeah, Steve, I guess my first question is you're sitting second in the points right now. We know that you're really good at these plate style races. So what do you feel like is going to be your approach coming into the night?
Well, hopefully I can come out first in points, and with Kostic out, I think that should be easy to do. So that's a good start. Aside for that, just remain patient. Just try to be smart. Don't do anything stupid and get penalties. Even that means you have to break a little bit early going to the pits and stay 1 or 2 mile an hour under. Doesn't really matter. You just have to stay with the draft. But the general game plan here is just be smart, be safe, keep the truck one piece, don't get it jacked up or damaged, and really you're going to be doing the hard racing for the last 20 laps.
Absolutely, and we saw a little bit of fuel strategy and some other different strategies come into play at Daytona. You guys just signed a new teammate in Austin Holbrook. You feel like you guys are going to try to get lined up at some point in the race, or are you guys going to kind of do your own thing?
No, we're definitely going to work together. Austin's solid, so we have a couple ideas and things we can do. We'll see how the field plays out, and but nonetheless, we're going to try to keep us all together and see if we can get a podium sweep. Last time we did one of these races, I think we missed it by a thousandth of a second to do a podium sweep for off the wall. But tonight it's redemption, so we'll see if we can get some laps led, at least for one for Dustin, and maybe we can push Austin to a debut of a win.
Absolutely, man. Well, qualifying is just now starting, so we will let you get back to it.
All right, thanks a lot.
Man, awesome stuff, man. It's so awesome to hear like the way these guys talk. I'm really excited to hear from Tyler because there was a big push. There's a talent section that lives in Backmarkers Racing as a league itself as well, not just in the viewership. And there was a big push to get him to be able to run this race here tonight, as he really wanted to run Talladega, and thankfully it was able to finally get made to make it happen. So hopefully, once he turns some qualifying laps here, so we'll be able to pull him in and get a word from him and see how he's feeling heading into this, because plate racing, there's nothing quite like it.
No, there's really not. And these trucks are so different compared to the ARCA cars. I think it's going to be an eye-opening experience for him. I hope he learns a lot. I know he's planning on running trucks next year, so this is definitely going to be a good experience for him.
Do you have any way too early predictions so far for this race?
So the last couple weeks I've been screaming Cofield. But, I think Jacob Bradley, really good plate racer. Dustin Bally, obviously really good. Steve Loving, we just talked to him, he's really good. So there's a group of 5 or 6. Can't count out Blake Hopp. He's really aggressive, which always pays off at these plate tracks. So I think, there's a group of guys that anybody could really win.
For sure. Speaking of Blake Hopp, he finally etched his name into Backmarkers lore history this past Tuesday, winning at ARCA race, his first race win in the league, and it's been a long time coming to a lot of people. He's been the bridesmaid a number of times and never quite the bride, even though he'd generally be the fastest car on the track, or or whether he gets caught up in something, just minding his own business, lapping by cars, or running his own race. And to see him get a little bit of redemption for himself this past Tuesday, and not only that, but to see that surge, I'm sure there's a surge of momentum now charging through him, and to see if he can seal the deal here and get a truck win as well and sweep the week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being in that ARC race, I was so happy to see Blake when I know he'd been trying hard, and he was kind of down in his luck after some recent events and races that have taken place. and he's just an overall good dude. I kind of compare him to Denny Hamlin. I mean, he's really good at saving tires, but he's also outspoken. Some people love him for that. Some people hate him for that. But he's just all around a good guy.
Yeah, man. And speaking of guys affiliated with Evil Empire and guys racing for Backmarkers racing here in the truck series, Tyler Barnett, ARCA Season 1 winner. He has had a bit of a rocky start to this season. He's regularly fast. He's one of the best guys on tire wear, which, at a track like this means absolutely nothing, as everybody will be pretty much on the same level ground there. But again, to reiterate back to that point, there's a reason he was Season 1 champion. He only lost one race the entirety of Season 1 in ARCA, and very much clutched that championship very early on. He is sitting currently in provisional second here, behind the provisional pole leader, Steve Loving. But I will want to talk back on Barnett. I just want to say that, to me, I have not seen a payday car touch the track just yet to notch a lap. And Blake Hoppe has only just turned his first setup lap. So I don't know if we're gonna see this pole stay the same. But to touch back on Tyler Barnett, he is world-class driver, I'd say. Especially, I can't speak for how he is behind the wheel in real life. I'm sure he's easily able to make that transfer over, but it's clear that in sim racing, he really knows what he's doing, and especially behind the wheel of the ARCA car. We've seen a little bit of a bumpy start to this truck season. What do you think, what's it going to take for Tyler to end up seeing some of that success he saw in Season 1 with the ARCA car here in the SLiDESIGNS Truck Series?
Tyler's such a talented driver. He's smooth. He's clean. I believe that he's just got to keep doing what he's doing. I believe work's kind of been taking away from some of his sim time right now, from my understanding. So that's unfortunate, but I'm also happy to see him succeeding in his career. But I think everybody knows that Tyler's always a threat no matter what track we go to, and he's usually going to be up front unless something happens to him.
Absolutely. Well, I want to take a moment here and try to see if we can get Mr. DeTalent. He turned both his qualifying laps, so I imagine he's back. Gonna see if we can go snag him. He might be somewhere around. Let's see. Tyler DeTalent's raining Kevin in the booth. He got us.
Yeah, man.
There he is. Let's go. DeTalent section.
Yeah, stand up. Let's go. Let's make some noise. Oh, man, I'm excited.
Well, man, we were just talking a lot about it. We were waiting for you to turn your laps, hoping you'd be able to come jump up. We didn't hear you when we first pulled you in, but man, oh man, definitely going to miss having you up here. I'm sure Kevin, he's got big shoes to fill, of course. He's got them big old DeTalent shoes, but he's doing all right so far. How are you feeling so far going into tonight?
Oh, it's going to be fun. I love the Superspeedway racing. I think it basically gives, anybody can come out of this thing and win. You just got to put yourself in the right spot at the right time. But I love this stuff, dude. Superspeedway racing is like some of my favorite, and I just, moving and picking trying to pick the right line, and making passes on guys, and it's just fun.
Yeah, Tyler, I think, me and Rain talked about it a little bit, but I believe this is your first truck start, correct?
Yeah, it is actually.
Well, congratulations. And, what's your expectations going into this? Obviously, you've never ran one of these in the league before. I'm assuming you've probably done a couple officials in them, but this is obviously a little bit of a different ball game. What are your thoughts right now?
Oh, we're aggressive right out the gate, and we're just gonna try and put this puppy in victory lane. Nothing less, nothing more, and hopefully, just have fun while doing it. Really.
Absolutely, man. Well, we hope you have a blast out there tonight, and good luck in your race.
Hey, you guys have a good time, and I hope we put on a hell of a show for y'all.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, man, what a guy, what a humble character. He's always a fan favorite, week in, week out. There's like we said, there's a DeTalent section for a reason. Every time we look in chat, there are people cheering for Tyler DeTalent. Even if he's not racing, they're asking where Tyler DeTalent is. So we we regularly try to make it a good idea to, you know, please the fans and bring them in somewhere. But I'm sure it would be a huge upset in general for a guy who's not even racing for truck points to just take a win here tonight. But I mean, honestly, what a shakeup and what a crazy moment that would be.
No, that would be, you know, that would definitely be a huge upset for an arca guy to come in here and kind of reverse bushwhack the bushwhackers, if you want to call it that. You know,
Oh.
I'm watching. We got 4 trucks that haven't qualified yet, and I'm trying to find it. I can't remember if Cofield qualified at Daytona or not. I'm not sure. The track temp's dropping, so I'm not sure if they were waiting for that or if they're just not going to qualify. Him and his teammate Jacob Bradley. So I'm not sure if they're electing to start at the rear and just ride around for the first couple laps, or what's going on with them, those two.
So if I had to guess here in this scenario, I mean, it really isn't something, especially with it being the 250, you know, the 250 miles of a race here. It's not really something where you have got to start up front. The way these drafts work, the way lines start chugging around, I mean, if you're on that bottom line, you're both, you know, running up, and that top line starts moving momentum, you just passed half the field, you know, and it didn't take a whole lot to get there. The only difference is you might just avoid, you know, getting kind of pushed a little bit or getting put into uncomfortable situations, getting put down into a bad spot early and losing draft. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential strategy behind it. I would not be surprised. These well, we're gridding up, so I guess they are in fact going to start from the back here. But the payday guys generally don't do things by accident, and they show that with their dominance. Jacob Bradley is season 2 ARCA winner. He won 5 races that season out of 12, so very, very impressive driver there. And payday so far this season has come away for trucks. Evan Pienta has won, and I don't have the stat sheet in front of me. I believe that's the only payday driver so far. You'll have to correct me.
Let's see here. I do believe so. See if I can pull up the stats. So we got, you said Evan Pienta. We got 2 wins from Mike Acosta.
That's
that
dumpster fire.
Unfortunately, was not able to make the race tonight. And then obviously Steve won Daytona. So yeah, so far, that is our only winner from payday is Evan in the 55.
Well, I mean, only as if, you know, that's not incredibly impressive the way he drove. That was his first race where he was tapped by payday to come in, and he absolutely took it. But speaking of, yeah, Mike Kostick, what an incredible series of runs he just had. Back-to-back winner, doing his first set of runs. He very quickly joined the league and became a first-time winner. So, yeah, I'm sure we would have saw a lot more of that out of him this week, but, you know, obviously commitments come, and that's what drop races are for, right? So it'll give him a chance to still maintain where he's at in points, because I do believe he is currently our points leader.
Yes, he is. You know, obviously the drop week definitely helps. He's just, hopefully he gets lucky and doesn't have any bad races, because obviously I'm assuming this will probably end up being the drop week that gets used. So hate to see him out, but obviously real life comes up, and we do this for fun. So
Right. Well, I just want to take a moment here to say, while we get ready to grid up here, that if you are on the Backmarkers channel here, if you haven't already, please click like on this stream. It helps us out a lot. Make sure to chat during the stream and during downtimes and during cautions, if there are any. Daytona was a little bit different in that regards. 96 laps green, in fact. We like to try to interact with you guys. If you're watching after the fact, drop a comment, and, you know, we'd love to respond and see what you guys are saying about the races. And as always, if you have not already, please click the subscribe icon down below, as well as that bell, so you get notified for all of our future and upcoming races. Now, generally, we play a really beautiful intro created by our very own Michael Gudger for this race, but we just had so much going on and so much we wanted to talk about heading in, coming out of this off week, that it's just going to end up getting played at the end of the race here tonight, instead of both in the beginning and at the end. So, you know, don't shoot the messenger if you don't get the pretty graphic, but we figured you guys would actually want to see this thing go green.
yeah, I mean, you're talking about that Daytona race. personally, I thought it was a great race. I was spotting for Blake, and I couldn't believe how clean guys were and how long the green flag run really was.
Absolutely, 96 laps green. Caution sets up a green and white checkered, and a very phenomenal finish with a wreck right on the final lap towards the back. Well, towards the middle back, not like the rear, but behind the leaders for the most part. It didn't really change the major outcome of the race. We look on board here, there is the current temperature, 78 degrees outside. Track temperature is 99 degrees. Currently, it's partly cloudy here in Alabama, here for Talladega. And the pace car will be diving off here. As you can see, this is our starting grid right here, starting with Steve Loving, who did get the pole, and Robert Brobst will be right up and tight with him as they get ready to approach this open restart zone. It's a little further away because, of course, Talladega has that lovely long front stretch bend. But there it is, the green flag, and they are off.
Yeah, and Robert got a really good jump right there in the start. He's side by side with Steve. He's got his cousin, Brian, I believe it is, pushing him. So I look for those two to kind of team up together tonight and work together towards the front.
Absolutely, those guys in Vintage Racing, they are kind of understated here. It's a very unfortunate scenario. Vintage Racing won the team championship for ARCA Season 1. Very handily, I might add. And they had a rougher Season 2. Obviously, I would have to go back, but I believe Payday did end up clutching team championship just over Evil Empire SimSport. It was very close for a long time during ARCA Season 2. And then, I mean, now we're sitting here and looking, and when you might have thought that some of the vintage guys were just quite not being able to figure it out for ARCA Season 2, they came back here in trucks with a vengeance. Robert Brobst has been having phenomenal runs, even when he's been dropping down to do his bushwhacking. Brian Brobst showing what his capabilities are, how incredible he is as a supporting, in that supporting role of being able to push. The reality is, if you're on the track and you see the Brobst boys in your mirror, you might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert's had a phenomenal season so far in the trucks. Had a great run at Dover last week. I haven't caught all the broadcasts, but I do remember Dover or 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. But I believe he was, top 5 to 7 truck pretty much all race.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robert Brobst, I considered him to be. Speaking of, Adam Lang is going to catch it too, and he is going to be able to utilize that entire front stretch.
Oh, we got more contact.
Oh, is that the 13?
I believe so.
What's happened here? Tyler Barnett around, and that's going to be a caution wave. I was just saying, whatever happened up there that ended up getting loose, I saw them really bunched up, and it sent Robert down. He tapped the 7 of Adam Lang, who was running up there, and he managed to save it by, just kind of having some brake and throttle control through the grass and getting back onto the asphalt. But then we look back up in the front, and something was going on with Tyler Barnett. We're going to have to get back to a replay here. Let's just go right back to the position here before Adam Lang goes off track. Let's see if we can get a look.
It kind of looks like netcode between Barnett and Robert Brobst set all this off through the tri-oval.
Taking a look over the top here, going to look at Robert and Brian Brobst here. It was a little bit fast. I happened to be looking away to try to grab a name here. Yeah, Tyler comes up slightly, and that's netcode for days. And I think the worst aspect is it looks like there was netcode from Brian pushing him, because it just turned him sideways entirely. Adam was not, I don't think Adam Lang got touched. He just had to dive down low, and he, again, credit to him, he managed to survive that run through the infield there. I mean, a lot of guys, that's an easy place to lose complete control. But as we look just up ahead, I see contact here. I'm trying to see, is that Brian Brobst making that contact?
I believe after the first initial contact was made, Brian Brobst
comes way down, and it's netcode. It's complete netcode. I'm really shocked by this. I know. I don't know if you generally the co-broadcaster, they keep their radio comms open in events like this. I don't know if you're hearing the current conversation there, but if anybody's really mad, that looks like a total iRacing deal by both accidents. That was just awful.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of watching the pings there on the replay, and it looked like Barnett's ping kind of shot up, so it might have had something to do with the nut code. I really really wish we could get rid of that in iRacing. It ruins a lot of people's races and stuff. But
It does. That was not nearly as egregious as some net code we saw, and I believe Arca Daytona. It was Abraham Kalufa who was driving the 81 here tonight. Drives the 84 in Arca. He was all the way up track, and somebody completely down the track, about 2 car lengths below him, moved up like half a car length, and it turned him completely sideways. It just completely turned Abraham off the wall and straight down the track, and it was very clearly a net coded. He didn't just spin randomly in the turn. He got clipped by netcode for no reason. So I mean, yeah, in incidents like that, I mean, when it gets kind of close, you have to be like, man, well, it might have touched anyway. This was one of those scenarios, kind of like the Abraham, where it's just, well, I don't see how that would have been anywhere close to touching each other. That would have just been side drafting.
yeah, it's just an unfortunate circumstance all the way around. But unfortunately, net code is something we have to deal with in iRacing. But Tyler and the 7, I can't think of his name.
That is Adam
Lang.
Lang.
They both did a really good job of not making any contact after their spins. They didn't take anybody else out. They didn't damage their trucks any more than what they already were after their spins. So I believe, I think they'll be able to save the fast repair for later in the race and carry on.
For sure, and nobody else got touched in any way during that event. It looks like there was some interesting pit strategy. A lot of guys pitted. We were only on lap 5. A lot of guys went down there to pit. I imagine that would be a fuel stop in that scenario to try to maybe eke out some extra miles. But some pretty notable names, including our leader, Steve Loving, did not end up pitting there. So already some strategy playing out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember exactly how long a green flag run is for the trucks. I want to say it's about 42 laps. So obviously pit lap 4 here, and you gain an extra 4 laps of fuel, and even under caution, you can turn the truck on or off, I should say, and coast and save a little extra fuel if you really need to. But
We have
these guys
more
get in
guys
the
going.
pack. Yeah, I think it's a smart play early in the race. You don't know what's going to happen in the middle stage and towards the end. You don't want to be sweating based off of fuel in a super speedway race. But
Absolutely.
and going back to that caution, we saw him coming through the tri-oval, and obviously it was net code, but it's really easy to make contact coming through that tri-oval because the truck seems to lift up a little bit. It gets really light on its feet, and you move around quite a bit. So I look for that to maybe be an issue later in the runs when the tires wear out a little bit more.
Well, I want to say a big shout out to John DeTalent. He is livening up the DeTalent section as always in our chat. Giving a big shout out to Tyler DeTalent, trying to rally the DeTalent section fans, and also giving a shout out to Evil Empire. Well, Mr. John DeTalent, they might need it right now. I don't know if you see the current scoreboard situation, but Blake Hoppy is in an island of off-the-wall trucks, and his only hope is that 18 of Tyler DeTalent sitting just behind that group to get some kind of support here.
Yeah, I don't know, I hate to say it, but I got a feeling Blake's kind of a sitting duck here. He's either going to have to work with them or hope somebody else comes to help him here, because I feel like the teammate alliance is probably going to play a major part of the beginning parts of this race.
Absolutely. And obviously, we always say here, even Tyler Barnett, Tyler DeTalent, we always make it very clear we have very keen biases for our own teams. That's part of the fun, so do feel free to show your Evil Empire bias as much as you want to throughout the evening. That's all part of the fun. Something I'm noticing, though, and it's really unfortunate, Blake Hoppy has been blinking a lot.
Yeah,
tonight.
I just now noticed that, and his quality and his ping look, they're in the green, so I'm not sure exactly what malfunction he's having on his internet there, but he's definitely blinking quite a bit. Hopefully, it doesn't become a problem for these guys that are behind him here on this restart.
It's going to be impossible to tell. We saw this same thing with Jacob Bradley as we get ready to go green here. We're going to watch, make sure nothing stacks up here.
Oh, and Steve got a
Jay
great
Bast, look at that.
jump, yeah.
And there go the
Jay's
three
gonna
off
hang
the wall
Blake out
cars. Jay is going to drop down, and that is an off the wall top 4 right off the bat. I would guess in this scenario, I think Blake didn't necessarily get left out to dry, more so than he tried to just give a little space in what was happening. There was a lot of touching back there. Wow, around Austin Holbrook.
Yeah, you don't.
That 12 machine.
You don't want to get too aggressive too early in these things. Obviously, you can push way more in the trucks than you can compared to the ARCA cars. And look at Adam Lang here on the outside. He's going to cut to the inside and take it from Steve.
Yeah, he is. And this is something we have not talked a lot about Adam Lang and his capabilities aside from when he does this, but Adam Lang is a very skilled super speedway driver. We have seen this time and time again at this point, but man, they are really moving all over the place throughout this pack, kind of shuffling, finding their position. Blake Hoppy, as I said, he's dropped a lot further back. I think he might have genuinely just been dropping back here purposely to try to see if he can stabilize his ping issues to prevent blinking, and it looks like he's getting a great run on the outside now. Gonna try to join that outside move. Evan Pieta jumps up in front, and he is going to want to take that shove from the 23, and it looks like we have 3 wide action, and we will for a little while here, as Dustin Bawley slides down in front to take the momentum from that bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. That top line's definitely starting to form up, and you can see the momentum that they carry off the corners. Obviously, entry and middle of the corner, though, it looks like the inside's quicker. Devin's going to jump down to the middle lane here, throw an aggressive block.
It was a very aggressive jump. I'm not sure if it was a block more so than he saw what the 22 and 523 are doing down there. Again, want to give a big, excited response talk about. We haven't talked about it. Nick Seraph, ladies and gentlemen, finally has some time off, able to join us in here in that 523 truck, the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet there. And he is giving a really good push run with Adam Boyles in that 22 impact machine. And I think Devin Jack just saw that they were still running strong despite having almost no support, and just decided he wanted a little bit of that action to try to run up in front, maybe get some laps led.
Yeah, and I think it was a smart move. I mean, you see now that that top lane's kind of dissipated. There's only 2 guys up there with the 2 Tylers, and obviously they're not going to have the speed to probably hang with this middle and bottom lane.
No, absolutely. It's and man, of course, we're looking at 2 18s, and it almost confused me. Thankfully, they're different manufacturers. But we do have 2 18s on track tonight because of an iRacing error, still scoring them that way. As Austin Holbrook did drive for up and coming in the development seat in Michigan, it helped him land this seat full time for the rest of the season here, starting week 5. Tyler DeTalent is the actual 18, even though he shows up as 29 on the scoreboard. The 18 Toyota, currently behind 27 of Steve Loving, in front of that Round Here Entertainment machine, the 53 of Jay Bast. That is Austin Holbrook. So just know the difference. Toyota team versus Chevy team. You'll be able to tell them out. I just want the talent section to be able to identify their boy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I hate to say it, but I might have been wrong about that top line. You got Evil Empire 1, 2, 3 on the top right now.
Oh, and they're dropping to the middle.
Kalufa.
And they're going all the way to the bottom. That was very, very well orchestrated. You know for a fact that was very, very deliberately timed. Adam Boyle seemed like he wasn't quite sure whether he wanted to join them. He got really in a bad spot. Nick Seraph just about clipping it, but Nick with that control able to maintain and not end up turning the 22 there. Oh, nobody does now. Oh no,
we got a major.
And I just gave him some huge props, and unfortunately, I have been made a fool.
That's the announcer's curse, as they say. There was quite a few guys caught up in that too, I believe.
I see. Look, I say this a lot. We're at second caution. It's only lap 12 so far. It's Speedway racing. Guys are getting kind of squirrely. They're trying to feel each other out. We know this is how it's going to be a little bit. But it is... it's fortunate if anybody hasn't already had to burn their fast repair at this point if they just took damage. Adam Lang looks like he took so much damage he had to jump to pits, and he has, well, it looks like his repairs might have been too much, as it looks like this might be a DNF on him. It looks like he did get out of his car, so I definitely understand that frustration on that. And man, what a just awful. We're gonna have to go back and take a look there and see what exactly. I mean, we know what exactly happened. Our current leader, the 523 Nick Seraph, we were talking about it, just how weird it was kind of being. It looked like the 22 was like really trying to figure out where he wanted to be. He was just getting kind of loose and maybe not necessarily indecisive. Perhaps he was just a bit loose in that, and that was enough to end up seeing him get turned there. So hopefully not an incident of commentator's curse. I would like to think it wasn't, but let's try to get a good look overhead here. I usually like to try to join onto our chopper cam. Yeah, that just looks like he tried to give a push, but he was way too low for that push.
Yeah, watching the slow-mo, he gets too far left to give that big of a push into the corner. These trucks get light on corner entry, and he just caught Boyles in the left rear, and
and that's going to collect Tyler Barnett there. Tyler to Talent, he netcode clips the back. Brook ends up clipping the 22. The 53 has to push through the back of the 18 a bit to try to get through it. Looks like he just probably didn't see. I mean, we'll have to go on board so you can kind of see. It might be a good idea to go on board with Jay Bass there to get the idea. You really can't see what's ahead of you when you're in these trucks. They take up the entire, especially drafting this close. I mean, you're not going to see any of that.
Yeah, the spoiler sticks so far up in the air that if you're tucked up behind somebody, sometimes you kind of lose where you're at on the track, and you don't know when to turn in or.
Yep. And just like that, that's seeing it, and he did basically everything he could in that scenario as we went on board with him. Thankfully, again, it looked like pretty minimal damage. Austin Holbrook taking a little bit of a licking here in his first full-time start, but he is taking tires as of now. Hopefully, he would have a fast repair checked here. I would definitely hope to see. But he is still sitting in pits, and that is not a great start.
I tell you what, if you go back and watch that wreck from the cockpit of Dustin Bawley's truck, he did an amazing job to miss that. He actually took the apron and barely skirted by it.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at Dustin Bawley and that 21 machine. Wow, yeah, he really did. He saw that coming. He thought they were probably going to end up in the middle of the track. He jumps down to the apron to avoid it. They come down to the apron, and he still narrowly gets out of the way, managing to save his race here. Unfortunate there. Looks like Brian Brobst is heading down for a pit. Johnny Rapp is also. Austin Holbrook, I can't really say for certain what happened, whether he already had his fast repair checked by accident earlier and it automatically used it, or whether he just didn't have the chance to check it here, as he is still sitting, and that will get him lapped so far in this race.
Yeah, unfortunately, that fast repair can sometimes be your best friend, and other times it can be your worst friend, depending on circumstances and if you have damage or not.
Well, the 523 of Nick Seraph has dropped to the back, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is where I get the very fortunate news to tell the very active to talent section in chat that the new assumed leader is Tyler to Talent in that 18 machine.
Yeah, Papa to Talent should be very proud of his son right now, and obviously I'm sure he's very excited to watch Tyler leading this race right now.
We called earlier that this would be a pretty big upset for a guy who's not running for points to steal a win away, but man, we do love a good story here in Backmarkers, and I mean, what a is there really a more deserving guy?
Personally, I don't think so. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but Tyler's a good play racer. I believe he won the shootout for the ARCA series this season at Daytona,
He did.
and
He won the preseason clash.
He was running, up front in the ARCA series debut at Daytona this season, and I can't remember. I believe he might have gotten taken out in that last lap wreck with a few others, but he's definitely another underrated plate driver.
Absolutely. They're going to be coming around for the green here. And Austin Holbrook is back on track. He is racing to get up there to try to get back in that draft before these guys start moving. He is trying to gain his way back around because if anything happens, he's in Lucky Dog's seat as the only guy a lap down. He can still have a good shot at having good finish in this race. So it is not over just because you get trapped a lap down a little early on in a plate track. I mean, literally anything can happen, and I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily think this thing's going to go green the whole way. It looks like a weird restart there. I'm not exactly sure what happened, whether Tyler thought he jumped the start and he held back for a moment. Jacob even reeled it back in for a moment after he jumped following Tyler's move, but a little bit of a strange restart there.
Yeah, I just heard Tyler, he was apologizing. I think he fired just a little bit before the restart zone. Might be a little bit of rookie nerves, but he's got it all figured out now.
He's just excited.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, look at this top line as we take and get a feel for what's happening already. Steve Loving and Dustin Bawley, teammates up at the top. They are trying to form a line that is losing momentum regularly. In the middle, Blake Hoppy is trying to push, and as we talked, those off-the-wall cars are falling in line behind this crew. Blake Hoppy is getting in behind and trying to start getting that momentum on that line with Jacob Bradley. Jay Bast is now moving up in front. He senses the momentum coming, and he is going to send himself up to the top, but they don't want any part of it, and they are going to leave him in the sucker hole here. But his teammates are coming down to form that middle line, so all might not be lost after all. Evan Pienta is just in line behind the 23 of Blake Hoppy here. And whoa! And look, there goes the talent. Jumping all the way up the track. He wanted the run with the 50 there. He made a complete 3-line cross to get all the way up there. Very interesting decision. And now Devin Jack will assume the lead in the 17 truck here. Pushed by Samuel Stoner in the 17. And I believe they are both teammates.
I believe you're correct, and I don't hate that move from DeTalent. A lot of people think that you kind of got to be on the conservative side in these play races, but a lot of times it's the more aggressive drivers that do end up winning it because they're not afraid to make the move that nobody else is afraid to make.
Absolutely not. And that's huge. This is a big deal for Dumpster Fire Racing up in front. As you know, the last two truck races were won by Mike Kostick in the 8, who has been a huge jump start to Nathan Gentry's team, Dumpster Fire Racing, getting them their first wins in Backmarkers in general. A team that probably, based on ARCA and the guys they had signed there, you probably wouldn't have thought were going to end up being championship contenders, have just completely reformed their identity here in this truck season. And I mean, Sam Stoner, we already know what he's capable of. He's an incredible driver. Devin Jack coming in and showing what he's made of, and Mike Kostick in the 8 as well. Looks like Tyler Barnett's going to want a little piece of that action on that outside line. He's going to take the push from the off-the-wall boys and try to get himself up to the front and try to get back into leading some laps here as he was just earlier in the race.
Yeah, it looks like they're kind of just forming two lines now as Peter Stewart jumps to the outside. But, you notice the different manufacturers in this race. Obviously, iRacing made it so that no manufacturer really has an advantage. But in certain races, there is an advantage. The Ford and the Toyota front end is more squared off. I'm not sure if the viewers at home can notice that or not. But it's more squared off so they can push a little more aggressively compared to the Chevy front end. Chevy has a more rounded front end on this truck design. And so sometimes, kind of like what we saw with Nick and Adam Broyles, it can end badly. But I'm looking at these two Fords on the bottom line right now, and it seems like they're hooked together fairly well, and they're really comfortable pushing each other.
Absolutely, and whereas the Chevys up top, a lot more wiggly there, as the Tyler Barnett of Backmarkers Racing is giving a push to Impact Racing's Peter Stewart, who is now finding himself in the lead. He might be coming up on a lap lead here if all goes well. He's going to jump to that bottom line.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move from Peter. Usually early on in the runs, it seems like no matter what, the bottom line's always the fastest, and as you get a couple percent of tire wear, it kind of migrates to the middle to the top. I don't believe we'll probably really see the top come in for these trucks. You don't have as much horsepower, but that bottom is definitely quick early in the runs.
And Tyler Barnett does take that lap lead, but it is still very competitive up here. I just saw a very interesting look like strategy move right out the gate. Jay Bass in the 53, he was running up there in that top line in that like about third back. He intentionally moved to the outside, fell himself, dropped back, and then went down to the bottom line to get in line with his teammates, losing position. But Devin Jack, he's gonna save it.
Wow, great job.
Devin Jack saves it. That's gonna be trouble for the guys underneath. They're gonna have trouble finding their way back in. They're gonna lose a lot, but their cars are intact. We're still green. And that's just a little bit of what we were talking about. I mean, it doesn't take a lot for these cars to... I mean, these trucks are better for pushing than ARCA, but they very easily can lose it. And we have a very aggressive push here from the 58 of Cofield on Barnett. And just behind him, Tyler to Talent there. I wanted to kind of talk about the rounded edges you were talking about on the Chevy and the disadvantage it has. We saw that with that last wreck of Nick Seraph pushing on the 22 of Adam Boyles. Nick and Adam are both Chevys, and another scenario again where, you know, it probably would have still been a little bit of an issue, but had they had that more square front, even with kind of drifting to the left, there might have been a little bit more of a flat touch rather than round touch catching that edge and being enough to kind of like just create enough momentum coming into that corner to end up creating a full spin that Adam couldn't seem to avoid. So there may be a slight disadvantage in that realm, but really only in terms of how the cars touch each other, not so much aerodynamically.
Yeah, no, there's no performance advantage in iRacing based off the manufacturer run. Obviously, they have to do that for their licensing agreement. It wouldn't look good for one manufacturer to dominate and the other one to not be as good. So they make all the manufacturers as even as possible, but obviously the body style and the way they're designed have their advantages and disadvantages. There's definitely more surface area to the Ford front end and the Toyota front end, obviously. You know, and we were just talking about Nick Seraph was involved in that second caution. He's already worked his way back up to fifth, so that's a really good rebound for him. He's back up towards the front, probably where he wants to be, and I would assume he's content on just riding here for a little bit, but I've been wrong before.
Yeah, there's really no telling. Tyler to Talent's in a really great catbird seat back here with the way Cofield is aggressively pushing on the 13 of Tyler Barnett. And Peter Stewart as well with Nick Seraph just behind him. I mean, it's not exactly great news for an impact car right now to feel the 523 breathing down their neck, but I'm sure Nick is quite sorry for the way that shook out and is probably not trying to repeat it.
Yeah.
So.
No, it was definitely nothing intentional. It was just a bad push at the wrong time, and unfortunately these trucks get really light on corner entry, and with the wrong tap, it's going to send you around regardless. The best driver probably wouldn't be able to save something like that.
Well, I mean, we're seeing a lot of pretty similar names kind of hogging up the top 10 right now. A number of guys have dropped out. The only notable car that was generally up there was our pole sitter, Steve Loving, is still maintaining, while some others have fallen behind. I mean, we're only 24 laps into this thing. So far, how do you think this is shaken out?
You know, I think, so it's kind of like any plate track. You're going to have a few cautions at the beginning. Guys are anxious, they're nervous, they want to go, they don't want to go. So I think, you know, it looks like these guys have kind of got that out of their system. They're content on riding, just logging some laps here and getting closer towards the end of the race.
And they are
looks
heading
like-
around Austin Holbrook, who is going to
Let's
take
say-
his second lap down.
You
That
know, but-
will unfortunately be a big issue for him if it does come to another caution for actually being able to unlap himself at this point, as he'll just end up one lap down still. But he'll actually end up in the draft at that point and might be able to kind of work his way around. And, you know, there's no unlapping yourself like you can at other tracks just by being fast and having good tires at a super speedway. So you're kind of at the mercy of when a caution's flying.
Right, yeah, you kind of gotta walk into it. This is the best case scenario for him right now, though. He's back in the draft. He's not gonna really lose any more time. So he's either gotta hope for a couple cautions or some destruction or maybe some wave around strategy or something here. I'm not exactly sure when the last time he pitted lap 12, so he's got about, looks like a lap extra fuel than these guys, so that's not really going to play a major factor. He's leading the outside line. Oh no!
That's Blake Hoppy. And he's going way down track.
I believe it was Evan Pienta that collected him there. Maybe not.
We're trying to get a good view, but my camera decided it was going to completely stop working, like I'm Fox over here. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I was trying to catch the end of it. Oh man,
that's unfortunate for Blake. He spun to the infield. Sounds like they're kind of deeming it no caution. They're asking for race control to make a call on that.
Well, to give the viewers at home a little bit of an understanding, this series, all of our series, are generally relegated to iRacing only cautions, unless there's an event where iRacing did not throw out the caution and there are cars blocking up the track, or it involved a lot of people. And that's the case where race control would step in. But generally, race control tries to kind of hang out of it for the most part and let things kind of play out. I want to get back to Blake Hoppy here, and I'd really like to be able to take a look and see exactly what happened for our folks at home. I just noticed some things were getting kind of weird, but just before I could really focus on it and say anything, it ends up happening. Let's take a look here. Looks like Sean is down below. He's in the 91 gets pushed by the 523, and that was enough.
That's just wrong push again, kind of towards the left side of that truck with the Chevrolet front end, and it turns Stewart into Blake and bounces off of Sean, and then I'm not sure. There was somebody else that got collected in that. I'm trying to...
Yeah, Sam Stoner in the 16.
Yeah, Sam Stoner, that's who it was.
You know what I'm seeing is a Tyler lead right now, though. They are currently pushing Austin Holbrook, the lap car, down. He has raced himself back up to this position. Boy, would he love for that of yellow flag to have been pushed out at that point. I'm sure even he and his teammates were like, yeah, call it. Call the caution. Let him get around.
I'm sure Austin is screaming about oil on the track, debris, anything he can think of right now to try to draw yellow.
They're calling out to race control. Come on, Blake. Blake needs help. Blake needs help. Let him get some time. Very selfishly.
Blake did the right thing there, though. He had a lot of front end damage. I'm assuming probably engine damage. So he did come down pit road. I'm assuming he took the fast repair because it's all fixed now.
Yep, and he's back out on track.
That's gonna save him the most time, because if you just ride around out there with engine damage, you're just losing massive amount of time, and he probably would have ended up 2 or 3 laps down, which would have completely ruined his race.
And Jonathan Cofield had a really strong charge on that outside. He just did not have what it took to continue to run that by himself. There's a push from Dustin Bawley, pushing up Jay Bast on the outside line. I'm sure some more people will probably join it if there's momentum. So they might eventually catch Cofield here, and we'll see a lot more pushing occur. But as it stands, Tyler Barnett is just dealing with a very stubborn Jonathan Cofield on his outside as those payday drivers generally are, very stubborn. They do not go away easily.
Yeah, I tell you what, for being out there by himself, Cofield is doing an excellent job. He's really working the side draft in the corners, and you'll see him kind of pull away from the trucks down the straightaways, and that actually gives the truck a little bit more momentum. He'll lose it about halfway down the straightaway, but he gets right back down to somebody's door, and it'll give him more momentum coming out of the corner.
Well, here comes that support we were just talking about. 53 of Jay Bass following up. Now, Jay, for those of you, of course, who've watched, he's a very fantastic road racer. He is a bit of a road course ringer, won Watkins Glen last season in ARCA. And for the most part, if you talk to him, when it comes to super speedways, he just kind of shrugs and goes, man, I don't know. They are generally not his preferred track type. And he is not usually super duper confident in what his capabilities are. But generally, when he shows up, he puts pretty much everything he has into it. And now guys are diving down for pitting here.
Yeah, we got the two Evil Empire guys diving down. Seems like it's a little bit early with the two cautions that we had, but there might be a little bit of strategy to that.
Not only strategy, it might just be necessary at this point, as Jonathan Cofield will now assume the lead. And the 16 of Sam Stoner, he is a lap down here as well, so he is going to be fighting alongside the other lap car of Austin Holbrook at this point, and he might just be at the opportunity here to get around and technically have his lap back for what that'll do for him. It'll definitely be helpful in the case of the guys going into pit this next time around, should he decide to stick it out and try to wheel his way around. But the thing with that strategy, I mean, how efficient is that? How effective would that be?
Yeah, it's really hard to tell right now. Obviously, watching my teammates over at ESS, I believe that Tyler pitted to maybe pick up their teammate Blake here and give him a little bit of drafting help.
Prevent him from losing more laps, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that was probably the call from either one of those two to help him a little bit, and hopefully the caution falls the right direction on a long green run here or something, and Blake can get the lap back. But back up front, Cofield's still leading. It's really cool to see the Alabama gang on the hood of a truck, or really anything virtually or real life leading at Talladega. That's pretty cool.
I mean, I would say it's a storybook, but Jonathan Cofield is usually finding his way in the lead at some point in a race, so it's more about an inevitability usually.
Yeah, and I know Cofield I talked to him a little bit after the ARCA race that we had on Tuesday, and he was really pumped up about coming to Talladega, hometown track. I believe he's only a couple hours away from here, and we know that he loves these super speedways, and obviously he's found his way back to the front.
Speaking of which, I mean, just like we said, sitting on his outside, coming up, pushing that 16 of Sam Stoner, it's his teammate, Evan Pienta.
Yeah, they're definitely the cream is starting to rise to the top here. It'll be interesting to see what these guys do come pit stop time. They've all pitted. Nick Seraph pitted lap 4. Everybody else pitted around lap 12, lap 13.
You know, somebody I haven't talked about just yet. I've been meaning to, but every time I do, something exciting happens. So fingers crossed it stays kind of calm for a moment. Jackson Samsel on the 57 Geico machine. He has made his way up into the top 10. He is up 15 positions on the night. He is obviously not our biggest mover. That is currently Nick Seraph up 21 positions. But still, being up 15, 16 positions on a plate track and the way he's been running, trying to keep clean of things, finding his way and holding pretty regularly. He's been sitting in this top 10 for a while now, and just really finding good ways to push and get around stuff. Very impressive out of Jackson here, as he is hooked up in this front pack.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're about a third of the way through this race right now, and I believe he's probably in a pretty content spot. You know, he's running in the top 10, doing what he needs to do right now. There's no real reason to push, but you know, the one thing that I have noticed, the tires, they don't wear out a ton here, like we've talked about, but they wear out enough that the trucks are starting to move around a little bit in the draft. That's one thing that these trucks do is the draft moves them around a lot, and it makes it harder to stay sucked up to somebody and give those pushes like we were seeing with everybody on fresh tires.
Absolutely, and I want to kind of run through the field here. Adam Boyles is making up the rest of this front pack that we're looking at. Brian Brobst is heading up the next pack, which consists of Brian Brobst, Abraham Kalufa, Johnny Rapp, Michael Boyles, and Jacob Bradley. So that's where the rest of Payday has been hiding out. Jacob Bradley is again having some blinking issues tonight, so I imagine he's just trying to keep himself clean and out of the way for the most part. And then the next group, Robert Brobst is on a man on his own, and there is a 3-car tandem, Tyler Barnett pushed by Tyler DeTalent, pushed by Blake Hoppy, but they are slowly being encroached on by the leaders. As you see there from that angle as they come out of turn 2 there, and the camera panned up, you were able to see just down the straightaway, and there they go coming into turn 4 now as we're entering turn 3. The way the momentum on these cars is, I mean, a 3-car tandem is definitely better than a 1-car duo here, 1-car singularity trying to push its way around. But it is, it's definitely working against time, essentially, at this point, to have, to end up having this pack of really fast-moving cars all working in tandem, pushing each other, and having a lot of momentum, slowly catching up to you. As we just take a look here now, things are just kind of settling out, and you know, we like the sounds of these cars. They all sound pretty good, don't they, ladies and gentlemen? So I mean, we're just gonna sit here and kind of listen to them for a little bit as the rest of this race continues on, as I'll crank it up a little bit for Crank It Up.
Again here, bottom still has the momentum. Nick Serra from the 523, he's calling out that he's putting in. We'll see who else comes with him.
This will be interesting. I mean, I'm really curious as to how this is going to play out in general for, well, pretty much nobody from this front pack. They're all going to stick it out. I mean, that's just the reality of, I mean, I don't imagine he went in unless he really felt like he had to at this point. So, I mean, at a certain point, you have to weigh whether you're going to be able to even survive the rest of this race or whether you're going to end up involved in something terrible. This will definitely end up hurting him, as he's going to be left out probably alone here unless he manages to collect, to catch that EES group trying to make their way around on his way out, which he very well could. But that will remain to be seen.
A little bit more bad news for Nick. I just watched him come down pit road. He slid through his pit box and had to back up a little bit, so that's going to cost him just probably a couple more seconds. But a couple more seconds during your pit stop cycle means a ton, especially on the green. We got more guys coming.
Way out now, and he's just missed the pack he would have.
Oh, we got a gaggle. We might have. Oh, I think we got somebody spinning.
Whoa!
Oh, it's Dustin Ball, I believe, and Jay Bass. Oh no!
Spinning through the grass.
Hopefully they made the commitment box, but they might still get speeding. I'm not sure how iRacing will really deem that. Jay Bass slides through his pit box as well, so we've got a couple of mistakes being made.
Yeah, this is uncat. Oh, Brian Brobst as well was too far ahead. Man, I don't know what's going on here with some of these guys tonight. This is very surprising. A lot of rookie mistakes.
Oh, man. I was watching the replay of Jay. It looks like he wanted to pit, and he just couldn't get the truck turned left enough to make the cone. and I'm assuming Dustin probably followed him. A lot of times, you see somebody doing something like that, and your eyes get fixed on them, trying to avoid them, and you do the same exact thing.
Yeah,
Dustin.
I can safely say I've seen that happen personally before.
Yeah,
so
it looks like Dustin just locked the tires up, and
Yeah,
he
he
made the
did.
commitment cone, but I don't know if he made the commitment box. It'll be interesting to see if they have a black to clear or not.
Steve Loving has just come down. He is probably barking at his teammates about that botched pit stop, as he is the ring general here. He is the commander on this this ship here tonight. And Dustin is still in a pit box. He is now on his way out. I'm curious, if you were to end up getting black flagged, would they make you serve that immediately, or are they sending you back out on track and you got to come back around?
You know, usually it's a pass through. You got about, oh boy, we got more action up front here.
Oh, here it comes. There's an assumption. I was going to say, man, Jackson Samsel leading, but here comes Tyler Barnett. And that EES strategy somehow, some way, has paid off.
Yeah, they did a great job of picking up Blake and helping him catch back up. But to go back to the black flag rule, usually if you get black coming into the pits, you do have to serve under green. Usually, I believe it's about 2 or 3 laps, 4 at the most. And it's just a pass through. I don't believe you have to stop in the box, but either way, that's going to cost you a ton of time at a fast track like this.
Yeah, no, we've said it before, we've said it 1,000 times. You can't go a lap down out here. It is basically, I mean, we're encroaching on halfway through the race here. That can be your night. Blake Hoppy, while he is in this front pack, he is still a lap down. He is not on the lead lap at this point, and he is, I'm sure, begging for a caution, as he would be the lucky dog in this scenario in the position he's in. But that could very well not happen, and that means Blake Hoppy is finishing in 20th tonight, which he certainly doesn't want to do.
No, absolutely not. I think Blake came in here with obviously a lot of confidence after the ARCA race on Tuesday, and I think he would probably be pretty frustrated if he ended up 20th tonight, a lap down. But that's also another reason why teammate strategy and working together is so important. You saw the Tyler pit, and they picked him up, and now he's the first truck a lap down here ahead of Dustin Bally and Austin Holbrook. So it's working so far. We'll have to see if a couple more guys have a black. I believe Jay just served his black flag. He's coming off the road down the backstretch right now, so we'll see how that shakes out.
Yep, as he is getting caught up by the leaders now, so he's definitely going to want to not end up getting past here if he wants to have a hope of anything happening.
And Blake knows it. Blake jumps to the outside of Tyler.
And this is definitely going to be a situation where they're going to try to find some support. But the 53, I don't know if he's going to have the power or the support to be able to make it happen, as Evan Pienta wants to get past the 13. He is going to give that shove to the 23, and I imagine the 23 will be dropping down very quickly just to secure his position in line at this point.
Yep,
there they go.
He did the right thing there. He at least made sure that Pienta was clear.
Oh no, he's back up in front of Pienta. Never mind.
Yeah, now he's sticking with him. He doesn't want to hang him out to dry necessarily. A lot of times, if somebody pushes you, you want to give them the common courtesy of hanging with them until you both get clear.
Yeah, completely understandable. I mean, Pienta's in a great position. He's currently leading the race at this point. But, for Blake, like we said, his goal here is he needs to be in front of that 53. So if a caution were to wave here, he is getting that lucky dog and not the 53 truck, and that is exactly what he did.
Yep. And so right now, if Blake can stay ahead of the 55, he's on the lead lap. If the 55 gets ahead of him at any point, he's a lap down. He's still a lucky dog, but he's got Jay Bass right behind him. And I guarantee you, Jay's probably not going to be content riding around as a second car a lap down.
Not likely. But I also don't see Jay as being someone who's going to try to force the issue right at this moment. I mean, if there's an opening, he'll take it, but as of right now, he's not going to be knocking around Blake's bumper trying to shake him out of the way or anything. They're just going to ride for a bit and see how this works out.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to think here. Dustin Bally would be the third car one lap down. He's also in this lead pack on the outside, helping Johnny Rapp. So he's not close behind. So if a caution comes out, there's a little bit of a sense of urgency here, but you also don't want to be a lap down causing a caution. Also, it appears Robert Brobst went a lap down. That sounds like he's down on 4. I'm not exactly sure if he's coming to pit road or what happened. He might just be that slow without the draft. These trucks throw such a large wake of air that if you lose the draft for a little bit, it slows you down tremendously.
Well, I mean, all in all, you can't really say much for how it's shaken out in general. I mean, Evil Empire are in a great spot compared to where they were. Now they're in this front pack running around instead of being afraid of being lapped, and Blake twice lapped by that crew. So I mean, there's definitely an improvement here from the strategy call that was made early on. I wonder, though, what this sets their pit window to. Do you think they're going to be able to stretch it to this next round where everybody else would likely come in? Oh, Jay's dropping out.
Yeah, I don't think Jay likes what he's seeing there. There's quite a bit of moving around, and with the draft, I think people are kind of trying to look to see where they're at and what kind of runs that they can make. But I'm trying to look here. So Barnett and the talent pitted lap 31, so they obviously can't make it to the end. I don't believe anybody can, because a 54 lap run for even Pienta.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we're gonna have at least one more pit stop. I would think that they're fairly comfortable just riding right here. There's only 9 trucks plus 3 lap cars in this lead pack, so you got 12 guys, about half the field. That's a little more comfortable than, say, having 18 trucks in the same pack.
For sure. It's a little bit of squirreliness here from the 17, Devin Jack. He's just getting a little to the inside, diving out. Might just be trying to get some air on that grill. But I do see him a little bit shaky in general. Jay Bass manages to slide his way, very surprisingly again, for a guy who says he's not great on speedways, back around Adam Boyles, making up the difference and getting in behind his teammate to try to form that outside line and push Johnny Rapp up more, which I'm sure has just Rapp a little bit elated at this point, as he is going to be more in contention. But there goes the 17.
Oh, I was going to say, there goes Devin.
I think he's been scouting this move for a while, and I think that's why we've been seeing him be a little bit squirrely on it. He's been wondering about where they were, probably coming up a little bit to see if he can see anything out his rear view. I mean, obviously, if you don't have a spotter, you're relying really only on your own eyes for the information you want. So, I mean, yeah, that definitely would check out, because now he's going to try to make a big pass on Pienta here. But Pienta now has direct support from his teammate. Unfortunately, I mean, Johnny Rapp wants to win, but he is now also contesting with Devin Jack against his teammates at this point. So the 52 could very well just find himself in line with those payday cars on the bottom, and then you're in for trouble.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's I hate to say he's a sitting duck, because I know Devin's a really good driver, but you gotta be looking in the rearview mirror and wondering where my teammates are to help me here.
You know what I think I'd be wondering is, if I was Blake Hoppy, is why are we currently having like a 3-car battle for the lucky dog spot?
Yeah, they're getting really aggressive. Obviously, him and Dustin are side by side, and Jay is right behind Dustin, so it's a highly contested spot right now.
Well, everyone, yeah.
Dustin's
Everyone in
making
here
a really
knows.
good move right here, though.
Everyone
Jay's
in here
gonna go
knows
with
how
him.
important this position is, and if they don't have this spot, I mean, shoot, this could still work out for Blake. All that has to happen is all 3 cars need to get in front of the leaders, and then it's just a wave around. This could be beneficial if those off-the-wall cars pass the 55 and just run. Blake is still in a good spot to catch the lucky dog instead. So this really isn't too bad of a race as you're thinking it is. It's only an issue if, say for instance, they don't manage to get up in front I mean, if you're in this position, let's say you're Blake Hoppy, would you want to try to run with those guys and try to just sit out in front of the leaders and get your way up there at this point, or is that still too risky of a call? Do you just kind of try to sit back and hope that the lucky dog is yours?
You know, we're starting to come down to crunch time. Usually you want to be in as close of position as you can get with about 3 laps to go. But if I'm Blake Hoppy right now, obviously you don't want to take anybody out or cause a wreck, but you also got to fight hard for the first truck a lap down. That's what he's doing. That's what Dustin's doing. That's what Jay's doing. They're doing nothing wrong here, running in front of the lead pack. They're
absolutely not.
They're fighting for a position as well.
We saw this exact scenario at Daytona with Logan Monteith and Tyler Barnett and a couple of other cars that were running out in front, but they were not on the lead lap. Well, they were now, but they were not in the first position. They were the back of the pack, running for a long majority before that yellow flag run at the end of the race, before that yellow came out. Those were all cars that were verge on lap down, but they weren't lapped because they were sitting in front of the leaders and taking the pushes, and it ended up being very beneficial at the end of that period.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm watching Jay try to push Dustin in front of Evan right now, and I'm not sure if you've noticed it or not. Dustin's got a little bit of rear end damage, and it seems like it's getting him a little squirrely whenever Jay tries to push him. I'm not sure if that is part of the damage or if it's just the way Jay's trying to push him, but he gets a little squirrely whenever Jay gives him a run.
Dustin obviously, you know, they're talking and saying whether he's going to be able to handle that or not, but that's a scenario where you got to weigh your options. Like you said, it's crunch time. You do not want to be making a mistake here. I mean, like we said, I mean, if a caution were to wave now, it would not be good for Blake Hoppy or Jay Bass. It would be great for Dustin Bally. But if they can manage to get around, and that 21 and 53 managed to get around the leaders, then it's great for all three cars in that scenario where they're all going to find themselves at the tail end of the lead pack.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, I'm watching this right now, and
the support is dropped out for them.
Yeah, they don't really have a huge supporting cast right now. Obviously, if you're a lead lap car right now, you don't want to be pushing a lap car. You want them out of the way. And I tell you what, Cofield is stuck to Pienta's back bumper. Like,
oh, Jay is going to slot himself in front of Blake Hoppy here, and that is going to put the onus on Blake to decide what to do next now. And there, Dustin falls in as well.
Cofield's a really good pusher, and he's really showing it right now. He was able to clear Dustin and Jay, and obviously he's got that bottom line out in front. My bad, I was listening to race controller. Got Evan out in front of that second line, and they're all single file now, so I'm not sure, you know, everybody's kind of decided they're content until the next pit stop, or what's going to happen here.
Absolutely. We're going to drop back to this backpack here that's led by Steve Loving. And man, Sam Stoner, Jacob Bradley, Peter Stewart, Sean Johnson, Austin Holbrook, who's 2 laps down, and Brian Brobst make up the second pack. They are steadily chugging along, catching up to that front pack. I think there's a chance they can still catch them. You know, not relatively within the next, like, 5 laps probably, but pretty soon, I'd imagine. And then additionally, we have the guys kind of hanging out, still pushing in the back here. Nick Serif, Robert Brobst, all trying really hard here. Abraham Kalufa to make something happen from the back. But as we've mentioned, I mean, it's impressive when you have a 3-car tandem like that to be able to make the moves. But it is not super optimistic that you're going to be able to get anywhere or make any positive gains.
Yeah, so, and you know, I have an overlay pulled up of the lap times. When they were all, so this pack with Steve and Jacob and Peter and Sean, they were running a single file around the bottom. They were making up about 6 to 8 tenths a lap, and then we just saw Devin Jack jumped out of line, and they've lost about another half a second while doing that the last couple laps. I'm not sure if Devin was getting hot or what the reason was there, but they lost a little bit of time. But I think if they can get organized and lined back up, we got just under 30 laps. I think they can catch them.
Absolutely. There's just so much going on, even though it's, I mean, people call plate racing boring on occasion, but I mean, there's so much strategy and so much that can happen at the drop of a hat that makes it so exciting and so interesting to watch, and we're seeing it play out right now.
That lap, they were actually a second faster than what Pienta and Cofield are now that they're lined up and organized. So I believe they are going to get there. What they do with it when they get there is up to them. I would assume they'd try to jump to the outside and carry the momentum and gain a few more positions here. We got one guy pitting though. I believe it's Devin Jack.
Wow, Jacob Bradley had a horrible series of blinks here in front of Peter Stewart. Peters, that's probably a big reason they're losing anything, is Jacob is trying to put a big push into Steve, but he keeps blinking and doesn't look like Peter's confident to get behind that, with the fear of clipping into him and causing something and end up being a situation. We're going to have to keep an eye on that later. Sam Stoner, as you said, I believe, has come into pit road. So,
yes, it was Sam. I keep forgetting that he's in the 16.
That's Greg Biffle coming down pit road. He runs here time to time.
Greg, if you are watching, we miss you, buddy.
And as we look at this, I mean, here they come, and as they are heading to the start-finish line, that pack behind them of 27 are in the front tri-oval. They are now crossing the front start-finish line. They are catching up. I do think they catch them here very quickly, soon.
Yeah, last 3 laps, it was a second, 1.2, and then another second. So a little over 3 seconds in the last 3 laps. These trucks, you get about 2 seconds behind somebody, you can kind of start to sniff the draft, and that's gonna. Oh, it sounds like we got some spinning somewhere. Maybe not. There's some tires squealing.
Jackson Sampson dove out to the outside. It looked like he might have been thinking to go for an outside run, but I think more than likely he was just trying to get some air. Oh, Blake Hoppy.
I was gonna say, I believe this is a scheduled stop for Blake after that incident that he had.
So Blake is going to be the first man down pit road. I'm hoping to get a short pit here to hopefully position himself with the opportunity to get himself back onto the lead lap without having to rely on a lucky dog. This could be very valuable in the long run. We're going to have to see how it shakes out.
And another thing to take into consideration here is, so iRacing has a autofill option, and a lot of guys forget to uncheck that and do it manually. The autofill only usually fills you up about an extra lap, and in these drafts you can easily burn that extra lap if you're dragging brake rather than lifting. So hopefully some of these guys remember that, or it could bite them towards the end of the race, where we'd have to see some fuel saving and other stuff going on.
And Blake Hoppy is coming out of the pits onto turn 4, and the lead pack will be catching him very shortly here. Dustin Bawley and Jay Bass have jumped back to the outside. I guess they don't see the need for the pressure, and I imagine this is where we see any kind of strategy attempt play out to see if they can try to move their way potentially in front of the leaders at this point. As once this lead pack gets around it, we'll be lapping Blake Hoppy twice. I mean, that doesn't matter anyway. He's still a car behind the other lapped cars at this point right now. So it doesn't look like they intend to pit anytime soon based on where they're positioned on track. So
yeah, and I'm just looking at it right now. Obviously, we noted the talent, and Barnett pitted lap 31. Looks like everybody else pitted around lap 40, 42. So they're roughly 9 laps shorter on fuel than some of these other guys around them. So I would anticipate them coming in shortly here, and maybe picking up their teammate Blake Hoppy again.
Sometimes things just get so exciting, and there's so many team storylines going on track that you kind of drift from seeing something that's happening right in front of your eyes. Do you realize who is bringing up the rear of this front pack right now?
I did not. That's a great rebound for Adam. Obviously, I wasn't sure if he had used the fast repair after he was involved in that second caution or not, but obviously he hasn't. He's stuck with the lead pack, and he's hanging in there.
Not only that, but Adam Boyles is not only stuck with holding the back of this lead pack up, he is supporting his teammates, Jackson Samsel and his brother Michael Boyles. The entire back half of this top 10 is impact cars at the current moment.
Alright, so I'm hearing that the 13 of Tyler Barnett and, well, it's 18 on track of the talent, they're pitting this lap. So it's kind of what we were talking about. Figured that they run a couple laps longer. They're going to come down pit road this lap.
There goes the Talon and Barnett now.
Yeah, so they're going to try to... Their
a
game
little bit
plan
of a
is to
brake
pick
lock
up...
up.
I was going to say, it was...
But it's saved. It's not an off the wall spin. It's a very controlled light Evil Empire love tap on a brake there. That's all. Thankfully, no more people flying through the infield tonight. Seen enough of that already so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've gone back to the second pack that Steve Loving and Jacob Bradley are leading, and they're actually losing time now, about half a second a lap. So I'm not sure if we had a couple guys drop out of that group or what's going on there. But with Tyler DeTalent and Tyler Barnett dropping out of the lead pack, it should be fairly even. So I would assume that they start making up time again. They're about 7 seconds behind the lead pack right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would definitely be an ideal situation here. And we look, Tyler Barnett and Tyler DeTalent have peeled off. They're all down the back stretch. And this back group, look at them go. Look who's going to try to link up. It's the 523 of Nick Seraph. Gonna fall in line here. Try to link up with these guys. Help truck that BMR group along to the front now. Robert Brobst very wisely deciding he wants a little piece of that action. Tired of being stranded back here. He knows his EES guys have been moving up really fast. Abraham Kalupa is going to fall in line as well.
Yeah, and then, Abraham, that's another name that we haven't really spoken about tonight. He did a great run the arca race at Daytona to start off the season. And believe he was fairly competitive in the truck race as well that he ran. So he's having a pretty good run tonight. Started 19th, he's running 16th, kind of just minding those own business and seeing what all shakes out here at the end.
I mean, I gush over it sometimes, and it's hard to see, but man, it's just so fascinating to watch these plate races. I mean, there's so many intertwining things that are happening. Sometimes it is just two lines running side by side, and not a lot happening. But then other times there's so much occurring. Yeah, Evan Pienta, Jonathan Cofield are currently having this race on lockdown. That is likely not going to be the case for the rest of this race. These guys behind them, they're hanging in line because they're just trying to build up the momentum to break away at some point when it matters. And when that happens, it could turn into chaos. It could turn into really, really exciting, back and forth pushes to try to get around and get to that lead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't win these plate races unless you make it until at least the last lap. So that's what most of these guys are trying to do, I'm assuming. But, and there's a lot more to plate racing than what people think. There seems to be a stigma that plate racing is just mash the gas pedal and turn left. There's a whole lot more to that. There's strategy, there's teamwork. Sometimes you work with other drivers. But obviously, if you decide to pit by yourself, you're going to lose time. So you kind of got to create a little bit of trust amongst the people you're around to have a good race.
Jackson Samsel and Adam Boyles, they looked a little about half a lap ago to dive out around and try to form an outside line. And it looks like they were going to eventually try to pick up Michael Boyles along the way. They were not able to get it formed up. Got a bit of buyer's remorse and fell back into line here. And again, that's why we say, right now, nobody's going to push the issue. When the time comes, they'll make the fight. But sometimes when you feel that the run isn't happening, I mean, you just got to get back in line and hope you can find it down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I'm watching the cockpit view of Cofield right now, and Evan is doing such a good job of painting that yellow line that it almost seems like Cofield's losing kind of where he is sometimes because you can't see in front of you. So Evan will kind of turn into the corner and Cofield drifts up a little bit, but they're doing a really good job of leading this first group. And it does sound like I just heard Robert Ropes and his group is pitting this lap. But maybe not. He's jumping to the outside now.
I like going into the cockpit of, oh, Payday guys are going down. They are going down pit road. I was going to say I like being on Cofield's dash because I like to see the Earnhardt eyes on Pienta's spoiler, but as I say that, they are heading down pit road. Devin Jack, Johnny Rapp, Michael Boyles, Adam Boyles, Jackson Samsel, the lap cars, Jay Bass and Dustin Bally coming in, Steve Loving, Peter Stewart, Sean Johnson, Mr. Moonpie himself, Brian Brobst, Jacob Bradley, all coming in here. Abraham Kalufa, as you said, Austin Holbrook also coming in. It is pretty much the whole gang, and that is going to give a huge opportunity. Here comes that EES group finding their way around. And Blake Hoppy, I believe Blake did stay out on track. You'll have to correct me. I believe he did.
Yeah, so he's going to be back down to 1 lap down. So he's going to be back in the fight for the lucky dog. I was just watching Evans' pit stop there. He only took left side tires rather than right, so that might be a little bit faster than actually taking right side tires. We'll have to see how that shakes out here. We got Johnny Raps coming up on him coming out of the pits, so interesting strategy. A lot of guys take right side tires, but Evan elected to take lefts there.
Mick Seraph heading down pit road now. He's kind of all alone in this scenario. But man, will you look at Tyler DeTalent being pushed by Tyler Barnett here. Robert Probst, let me tell you, he hitched his wagon to the right train. He has found himself back up and around. He may still be a lap down, but he is now the first car a lap down, I believe. Oh no, that's Dustin Bally, but he has a very good chance of actually catching him this time now.
I was gonna say, DeTalent's doing a really good job for his first time in the truck. Got a great teacher in Barnett behind him. I'm sure they're talking in Discord, and obviously they're helping each other quite a bit. So they're both doing a really good job. But that's impressive for DeTalent in his first time in a truck.
Blake Hoppy is out back here. He is still a car on his own, trying to make the catch up. But I mean, we've seen these guys try to do it themselves, and it never quite cuts the mustard. Hopefully he can get some support if it's going to be able to get him back up and around to get back in contention to actually fight for that lucky dog.
Yeah, and I'm sure Blake was hoping for a little bit of teamwork there, but obviously DeTalent and Barnett were still in the lead lap. They got to do what they got to do. You're this close to the end of the race. You kind of got to say teammates be damned. It's getting down to the end, and it's pretty much going to be every man for himself.
As we look here, worst case scenario, we talked about it earlier, it has come to fruition. That is a payday top 3 right now, and they are a strong group when it comes to pushing each other and working their way around a track.
Yeah, and I believe Nick Seraph just got lapped, so Dustin Bally is no longer... No, never mind.
He wasn't anyway.
It was Nick Seraph as well, so... Or is Nick coming down pit road again? No, never mind. That was a different car that I was seeing.
Robert Probst is heading down pit road. I'm trying to keep up here. Nick Seraph, Jay Bass, has passed Dustin Bally at this point. Dustin's been left out to dry in this back group. He is actually coming up behind Tyler DeTalent here. And Jay is falling in line behind Tyler Barnett. Looks like some separation occurred. You take your camera off some guys for 1 second, and you end up missing out on some action, apparently.
Yeah, so right now Barnett's asking Jay Bass for pushes, which is understandable. They're 6 seconds behind, but there's strength in numbers, and they definitely have the numbers. There's only 7 trucks in the lead pack, so if they can all get lined up in uniform, they're definitely gonna catch them.
Yeah, Jay is definitely not opposed to the pushing. He's trying to give Tyler these pushes, but you can also tell he's not exactly one to put himself in a scenario where he causes something here. This might not be a super comfortable position for him to be pushing this lead pack, but it's kind of the situation he's found himself in. But he does have some support behind him in Steve Loving, and just behind Steve, I mean, they've got Brian Brobst hanging out in here. They've got Austin Holbrook, as a matter of fact. I didn't see him there. He's lining up, new teammate following in line. Well, new as in new in trucks. He's been running as their teammate from last season, but he was still down in ARCA at that point. And then, I mean, just more of that group that we were looking at earlier, and now Tyler DeTalent's kind of heading up the back with Dustin Bally and Jacob Bradley, who is still having blinking issues. Somebody has got to call that guy's ISP and use every curse word they can find.
Yeah, obviously, anytime you're racing around somebody that's blinking, it's definitely frustrating, but it's also scary because you don't know where they're at certain points. You know, watching the second group though, they're doing a fantastic job. You know, Jay's obviously pushing Tyler, and Steve is doing a really good job of not pushing the pusher. And what I mean by that is, if you have somebody 2 cars in front of you, obviously they're the lead truck, and somebody's pushing them, you can't push that second truck or it's going to wreck everybody. So they're doing a really good job of just lining up, riding, and trying to maintain speed to make up time on this first group.
Absolutely, and here come the leaders heading around the lapped cars, the more lapped cars, I should say.
Oh, Rap with a bad push on Evan. They got him a little loose. They kind of lost momentum. Here comes an inside line of Abraham and the 16.
And Sam Stoner, yeah, losing that momentum, I mean, that's bad in terms of if they were fighting for exact position here, but I don't foresee this group behind them of Michael Boyles and Devin Jackson saying, oh, never mind, they might. No, they're going to form up. Man, it looked like Michael was eyeing the middle for a second there. Michael Boyles is a bold driver. I wasn't sure what he was about to go for there.
Yeah, I know. He's doing a really good job. All these guys are doing what they need to do to either maintain their spot or try to stay on the lead lap. You know, and as we get closer to the end of this race, the aggressive runs are going to start to pick up. The pushes are going to start to get more aggressive, and you know, it's been a great race. I hope not everybody wrecks, but unfortunately, it's usually a product of this super speedway racing.
I mean, you'd think the green-white checkered was invented specifically for super speedways.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. I'm hearing Jay Bass is getting hot, so I believe Steve Loving's going to tuck in behind Tyler Barnett.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to drop back. He's just pushed in a lot hard. I mean, this isn't out of the ordinary. It's exactly what we were talking about. He's just not super comfortable being in that position. And I mean, he'll do exactly what he needs to push in there. But I mean, this guy, super speedways, they never quite call his name that same way. He's very impressive all the same in what he's able to do. But it's also all the more impressive when you know you're kind of over your head in a scenario and you're willing to drop back and lose those positions and lose any momentum you had. Oh, 58. Cofield jumps up in front of Kalufa. That was... I'm unsure how wise it was. That outside line does not have a lot of momentum. And now Sam Stoner is pushing in behind. This is getting very, very wiggly in here.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a feeling that alarm clock's going off in Cofield's head that he's
Oh,
got to
Nick.
go.
Nick in the back just managing to eat on that brake a little bit.
You know, Cofield wants to win this. It's his home track. He doesn't want to run third. They're coming up on a lap car here. I believe that's Blake that's going into turn 3. So that's gonna mess with the draft a little bit. The inside line's gonna get a little bit more pull here as they start to catch them, but they have enough trucks in this lead pack amongst the lead lap trucks and the lap down trucks that the outside can work. And we know Cofield's really good at these super speedways. Really good at side drafting.
Michael Boyles finds his way down in line with teammates. Decides he wants to stay on that bottom line. I mean, Payday are driving strong, and we know that something's bound to come up here. I mean, we're looking at some really squirrely guys up here, 2x2 coming around Blake Hoppy. Blake tagged. Everyone's saved still. It's held in position. It was just a bit of a tag. Blake showing that wheelman skill, holding himself in there. Man fancies himself a fan of Kyle Larson. He clearly tries to implement similar capabilities on tracks.
Yeah, that's really all you can ask for out of a lap down car is just hold your line and they'll figure the way around you. But I'm sure the guys in this lead pack we're not excited to be catching him at that part in the track.
No, and definitely not in the scenario where some of these guys are really itching. I mean, now you have Johnny Rapp up on the outside. Jonathan Cofield's dropped down in the lead, and now Rapp wants to get around. Johnny Rapp is still chasing his win. By all accounts, we thought he had the win last week, and Mike Costa comes out of nowhere and claims the back-to-back victory instead. We've talked about Blake Hoppy being the bridesmaid. Johnny Rapp has consistently been at the front or on a podium, and he just has not been able to clinch it just yet. It doesn't matter if that's the 55 and 58 on the outside of him. He's about to try to drop down and be in front of him either way.
Oh, absolutely. I felt absolutely terrible for Johnny at Dover. You know, I know Blake was really fast, but I think Johnny was clearly the class of the field at that race. And then had a blast racing with him in the ARCA series Tuesday night at Chicagoland, and he tried some aggressive strategy and it didn't work out again. So he's kind of been on the wrong end of the stick here the last couple of races.
Well, we are coming down to, if it wasn't crunch time before, this is now crunch time. And I mean, this is obviously a worst case scenario right now for guys like Dustin Bawley and Jay Bast, who have been fighting really hard to try to like stay up ahead as the first car's a lap down, because they are in a second pack, and that first pack contains 3 lapped cars as it stands right now. So for guys like that, they're basically looking at a no-win situation here. They're just gonna have to stay out no matter what. Can they stay out in that scenario? Can these lap cars with the last pit they had, if other guys decide to drop in and pit real quick, knowing that a lot will they actually be able to stay out is basically what I'm asking, I guess, and be able to make it to the end still at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a lap down right now and a caution comes out, you gotta hope that the leaders come in, and you just gotta be shutting your truck off and coasting under yellow and hope you save enough fuel to make it to the end and be fortunate enough to get your lap back and have a shot at it. But you know, looking at this race for the lead right now, Devin is doing a really good job of pushing Johnny Rapp, and he's got help from Nick Seraph and Abraham. And it seems like they're every lap they just inch by inch get ahead of Cofield at the line. You know, the flag stand's completely different compared to what it is at most tracks, and right now it looks like it might play a role in this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the important factor. It's the all-important factor when it comes to Talladega, is where that flag stand sits and how much can happen since it's not right at the top of the tri-oval, there's so much room for, I mean, if you've ever been on iRacing, or if you've played a NASCAR game or any game where it lets you run at Talladega, and you've come around this tri-oval where a track like Daytona ends, and then you might be on the outside of a car behind it a little bit, and when you come around that, you just feel the launch, you catch the side draft, and now you're side by side coming to the line. I mean, that's basically what the advantage is in that scenario. There is a whole extra stretch of road where anything can happen coming to that line.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, looking at the relative for the second pack that we have, they've been falling off a little bit here. I'm not sure if they're disorganized or what's going on, but they're losing about half a second a lap. I know we got quite a few lap cars here in this lead pack, so they're definitely going to need a caution to catch up, but that's not always the worst position to be in, to be 10, 11 seconds behind the lead pack coming to the end of this race, because as we know, there's usually a late caution in these type of races.
I mean, we could be surprised. They could still hold, but I mean, oh, I'm looking at Abraham drop down right now, and it's those kind of moves that are gonna be very. He's now back up into the middle, trying to find a spot into a line. He's not quite finding it. He's gonna dive back, or he's gonna try to go up to the top. Looks like he's just sitting in the middle right now, figuring it out. Those kind of moves, as Johnny Rapp is way ahead at this point. It looks like, I'd imagine he's wanting to get down. But also, Devin Jack, that looks like that's all Devin Jack giving him them shoves. And I wonder if the 52 of Johnny Rapp feels that if he drops down, Devin Jack is just going to blow right past him at this point.
Yeah, Devin looks like a really solid pusher. He's going to get bailed down here, though, by the 532, so it's going to make him lose a little bit of momentum. But they have been doing a really good job of side drafting and keeping momentum up down the straightaways. But right now, obviously, play racing, there's strength in numbers. You got about 3 or 4 guys on the top and probably 7 guys on the bottom. So if I'm Johnny Rapp right now, I'm kind of hitting the panic button, and I'm trying anything that I can to maintain the position that I'm in.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, at this point, if he can maintain side by side and get just enough of a shove at some point, I mean, with under 5 laps to go, that could be the difference maker, where he doesn't have to fight off these guys as hard, and he doesn't have to be worried about that extra bit coming to the line and having the win stolen from him, as I'm sure there would be nothing worse to that 52, short of entirely being taken out and finishing dead last practically in this race, than if he were the guy leading to be inched out by 1,000th of a second by a guy who comes up next to him.
Yeah, and these lap cars, they kind of bounce around from the top to the bottom.
I can't figure out where they want to go. Yeah.
And it's making Johnny's life a little bit rougher, because every time they make that move, it loses just a little bit more momentum. And now you see Cofield and Evan kind of squeak it out. But coming off turn 4, you definitely see that that middle groove definitely has a lot more momentum and through the tri-oval, because Johnny squeaks back out at the flag stand.
And it's so interesting that these lap cars are fighting around this position, trying to find out where they go. Only 2 of them are in a position where they're going to change a spot right now, right? Or no, 3 of them. It is Seraph, Kalufa, and Stoner, but they're all within a position of each other that they're fighting for. I mean, this is, at this point, you just ride the wave out and try to get what you can, rather than, you know, potentially being the guy that's going to send this thing. Well, I was going to say send this thing 3 wide, but I don't want to speak ill of Blake Hoppy here, but send this thing 3 wide and potentially cause that final caution, sends us into overtime.
You know, I completely agree, but that's what, in my opinion, that's what makes this league great, is there's so many competitive guys. They're not going to lay over. They're not going to give in an inch. They're going to fight until the bitter end.
Absolutely not. In that scenario right there, Johnny Rapp wins the race. He did, in fact, just complete that lap it nosed ahead of the 58. So if it stays as clean as that and there aren't people trying to break away, which I don't foresee Devin Jack just giving a win to somebody that's just a competitor in front of him here, then we're basically looking at a scenario where that could be the case, where it's just a nose, and that's the difference.
Yeah, I got a feeling coming down to 3 to go here.
I'm feeling I'm feeling a little queasy in my stomach a little bit here. Robert Brooks is trying to kind of stay out on the third line. I guess he's just figuring I'll stay up as high as I can and still try to run fast, but not really try to get in the way here. I think he anticipates something happening. Blake Hoppy jumping to the outside too. There goes Abraham Kalufa with him.
Like I was saying,
Abraham decides buyer's remorse. He's down in front of the 5.
We get down to the end of these things, the side drafts get more aggressive, the bumps get more aggressive. You really don't care who's the teammate and who's not. Whoever works with you will work with you. And yeah, we're coming to 2 to go here, and I think we're going to see a really exciting finish based off of how these guys are lined up.
Well, I mean, like you said, we're coming to 2 to go here. This is 3 to go. No matter what, this goes overtime if anything happens. So, ideally, these leaders don't want to see that right now. They do not want to see somebody turned. They do not want to see a yellow. They want to get around this track one more time to see that white flag wave and secure that this race will be happening. But man, where does anybody make a move? Devin Jack is fast. He is very fast, and he's very strong right now. He's making a big push on Johnny Rapp. Does he try to force this thing through the middle and get himself somewhere? I mean, I don't know. Right now, it doesn't look like anything's gonna come of this in terms of the caution we were fearing. It looks pretty solid right now with the line.
Yeah, so it appears that Devin might be backing it up a little bit, which is what he's going to have to do. He's either going to have to back it up, or he's going to have to hope that Abraham goes with him and they can leave Johnny in the dust and
ladies and
have
gentlemen,
a big run.
This race will be official. We have the white flag. There will be no overtime. This race will end this lap. Here at the Alabama Send It 250 at Talladega, presented by SLiDESIGNS.
Oh, come on, Devin, you got to back it up one more. He's pushing Johnny really hard.
I'm sure Johnny is more than appreciative of the attempt that's being made here at this point, but man, Cofield, Johnny Rapp staring victory in the face here against 2 of his teammates who both have wins in backmarkers. Jonathan Cofield being a multiple-time winner. Oh, and Cofield's going to jump up, but Johnny Rapp doesn't. Johnny Rapp!
It's going to be Evan, I think.
Oh, it's going to be a big 3-way split. There's touches.
Oh,
it's going to be Evan Pienta coming to the line. And Johnny Rapp. Oh, heartbreak again. 500ths of a second. Coming in second there.
Evan waited until the exact moment that he had to go, and he wasn't decisive about what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He went for it, and it worked out for him. And I know he's really high in the point standing. Those are the type of moves that will create a champion.
Well, just like that, Evan Pienta, I believe, will surpass Steve Loving in second place, based off of laps led and based off of the winner points difference between first and second. I do believe the 55 will slot himself up into second place in points, moving Steve down to third. But Payday with a 1-2-3 tonight, avenging what they almost had at Daytona and were finally able to accomplish here tonight. Jacob Bradley has got to be a very happy team owner here currently.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have the updated point standings in front of me, but I believe Pienta missed Daytona, so he's already used his one drop week, but coming into this race, he was only 7 points behind Michael Kostick and 2 points behind Steve Loving, so I'd assume that will give him the points
to
lead.
The lead. Yes, he does. That should give him the points lead here. I thought there was a little bit more of a gap between Steve and Michael, but I guess not, and that will give Evan Pienta the points lead. We have had 3 points lead changes in 5 races. That's incredible.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how talented these guys are in the truck series and how even they are on talent. Really, I mean, one bad race is going to set you back majorly, and obviously consistency wins championships. Personally, I still like Cofield. He was my pick coming in. He got third. I know it's probably heartbreaking for him leading, coming to the white flag, and ending up third. But he did a really good job, and so did the rest of the guys around the race.
Absolutely. Well, I do believe it's time we go ahead and grab some interviews. Let us start with our winner. Get a finish line interview here with him. Let's go find Evan Pienta. I know he's hiding up here. There he is. Let's see him. Hey, Evan, it's Rain and Kevin in the booth. You got us.
I do.
Well, man, two now for you. This is your first season here in Backmarkers, and you are a 2-time winner. A lot of guys took a little bit longer to get to this point. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Overall, I think it was a really good race. Especially team-wise, I think we everybody at Payday, Dumpster Fire worked really good together. We kind of had a plan set in stone at the start of the race and tried sticking to it as much as we could through those early cautions. And then once it went green for the rest of it, it was kind of just making sure everybody was working together and just kind of just keeping control of the entire race was our main goal, and I feel like we did that pretty well.
Yeah, Evan. I mean, obviously you've become a clear favorite for the championship, and you were riding behind Cofield there in the last lap. What was your thought process going into that last lap?
Well, that entire last run, our goal between me, Johnny, Devin, and Cofield were to just kind of maintain control of the front. We were going to try and stay single file, and then we caught up to the those lap cars that stayed on the inside and gave us some trouble a little bit. And then that's when we kind of got put too wide. And then at that point, we kind of realized we could take advantage of it and kind of just basically be like the 2 semi trucks blocking both lanes on a highway and just kind of keeping control of both lanes throughout that last run there. And I was fully committed to keeping pushing Cofield to the win, and then coming off of 4, I was just ready to push him, and it was kind of like at that point no lappers were going to try and be aggressive to try and get their lap back because it's the white flag. So we were just kind of us 4 for the battle for the win, and I was going to push Cofield, was going to be committed to his bumper, and then coming off of 4, he just kind of drifted up, and I'm like, okay. I kind of talked to him after, and I'm like, I would have gone with you, bud. And I think he tried to block Johnny, but I was definitely going to push him to the win. And then once he went up high, I was kind of just, committed to keeping my throttle in it and just staying low. So, and was able to get a push from a lap car. I think it was Nick. So, get a push there to the win. But overall, top 3 or top 4 covered by Payday guys. So, Payday and Dumpster Fire guys. So, overall solid day, team wise, and good points day overall.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys definitely played the teammate game as well as anybody tonight. Personally, I'd like to congratulate you on the win. It was rather impressive watching you guys work together tonight.
Appreciate it. Yeah. It was Talladega, or the play races in general aren't really necessarily. I mean, I don't look forward to them and I don't dread them. I know a lot of people don't like them and a lot of people look to capitalize, but it's kind of just one of those things where as long as you have a good group of guys around you, and you're not kind of a lone soldier, you're pretty set as long as you have a good group of guys around you, which we did tonight.
Yeah, and I believe you missed a race. I'm not sure if it was Daytona or what race you missed, but how do you feel this sets you up for a championship run?
Yeah, I missed the first week. Was signed second week too, starting in Michigan. But I don't know. I mean, I still feel like it's early in the season. There's a lot of racing still to go. A lot of guys still can make surges and kind of here and there. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like these next couple tracks with Bristol and Darlington coming up, I feel confident in Bristol, and then Darlington's kind of all about who can manage their tires the best. So um, I just feel like if I can just keep up the consistent runs in the top 5, top 10s, even maybe with some bonus points here and there, I can be have a good point set shot at the championship.
Absolutely, man.
All right, well, congrats very much. We're gonna go drop you back with your team in payday, and I guess pull the rest of them out and talk to them. But congrats on your second win. I'm sure it's gonna be only one more of many to come.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Just really quick, want to shout out SLiDESIGNS for sponsoring the league. You guys are putting the broadcast on. I know I mentioned it already. Payday Racing for everything they did tonight, everything they do throughout the season. And then just my family that are watching on the broadcast.
Awesome. Big shout out to everyone, the Pienta clan, and keep tuning in because I think we're going to be seeing more of this season. All right, congrats, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, now we got to pull up our guy from second, Johnny Rapp. I'm going to let you go ahead and grab onto this one. Here you go.
Johnny Rapp, it is Rain and Kevin in the booth. Do you have us?
Yeah, what's happening?
Oh, not a whole lot. You truckers definitely treated both of us to a great show. I hate that you ended up in second again. I feel like this is the second week in a row that a win has kind of gotten stolen away from you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take second like that anytime. I mean, for you see all the plate races here on iRacing, and it always ends in just people flipping and all this chaos. That was like, uh, a good pure race to the line, and everybody did a great job. I don't know if anybody wrecked. I don't think they did, and that's something to be proud of. That was cool, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for as many laps as what we ran here tonight, 2 cautions is really quite impressive compared to a lot of leagues and the officials that get ran here. I'm trying to think here. I'm not sure how many times you've come close, and I know the monkey's gonna get off the back for that 52 eventually. But what type of momentum does a race like this put in yourself and put forth to the rest of the season for you?
Yeah, so I missed the first race. I might miss the second race too. I forget. I think it was his first race, and so I'm a little behind the 8 ball, but I've been able to still get up near the top of the points here. So I mean, coming out of Talladega, which can go your way or it can go not your way very easily. Coming out of there, top 3, top 2, that's great momentum, and we'll hit the rest of the tracks and hope for the best and see what we can do.
Yeah, you and the rest of the Payday crew have definitely been laying it on them the last couple weeks, and it's really exciting to watch you guys race and compete against each other. You're all very fast, and I'm excited to see how the championship unfolds. Do you have any sponsors or people you'd like to thank tonight?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you guys for putting on the show here. I know my dad watches the broadcast, so shout out to him. My buddy Charlie's out there too, Wu Tang, whatever. And shout out to the Payday guys, Evan, Jacob, Jonathan, and Devin for giving me a heck of a push to the last like quarter of the race there. I mean, he was just give me enough to keep me outside and uh, keep the race interesting there, keep us in it. So shout out to him.
Hey, absolutely, man. Well, you guys definitely put on a show, a clinic, I would call it. I'm not sure how many laps you guys led, but it looked like the payday guys were up front pretty much every time I left. So, congratulations to the payday team and all the drivers.
Hey, well, we appreciate it.
All right. Let's go ahead and now there's a little bit of a preface here. Is I usually like to give a little bit of trouble to the 58 of Jonathan Cofield because that man, I'm convinced he only finishes podiums so that he can make sure he gets his interview in. So let's see if we can get him in here. Once again, Jonathan Cofield. It is Rain and Kevin in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Jonathan, you just can't help it. You got to get the interview, don't you?
Gotta get it, brother. Gotta get it.
Every single time, man.
No, so Jonathan, I gotta ask you. You're coming into turn 3. You know you got a teammate behind you. You got a teammate to the outside of you. What is going through your head as you come off turn 4? Like, are you thinking about I need to protect the inside? Like, did you think that Evan would make a move, or were you more worried about Johnny on the outside of you?
Yeah, I never liked being first coming to the checkered flag. I wasn't really worried about Evan. He was gonna stay with me, teammates, and Johnny Rapp being above me, teammate. But every time we'd come through there, he got a big run every time. So I knew the 17 pushing him, they was gonna have another big run. And you never know who else was gonna come above them. So I gambled and went high to block Johnny. So
Well, I gotta say, Jonathan, you ran an excellent race. I was a little puzzled when I saw that you didn't qualify, but it obviously all worked out for you. I'm not sure where this puts you in the points. Obviously, I'm sure it's a pretty good position. We've had a couple guys that have missed tonight, but looking forward towards the end of the season, I believe we got Bristol coming up for you guys, and then a road course at Canadian Tire, then obviously Darlington, which is an absolute monster. How are you feeling going to kind of we're getting closer to the second half of the season? How are you kind of feeling about that?
yeah, I didn't qualify 94 laps at Talladega. Probably knew we was gonna have a couple cautions, so I just wanted to kind of lay back a little bit and kind of dodge everything. But yeah, Bristol, Canadian Tire, and Darlington. That's I like the road course. Bristol, everybody's gonna be real tight in on each other. Darlington too. Just gonna have to keep your nose clean, stay out of trouble. Try to get the best finish you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I do gotta give you a little bit of a hard time here. You were you were my pick coming in tonight. I was screaming it all week, and well, I don't know. My heart kind of sunk when you drifted off the yellow line coming off 4, but I don't blame you. You definitely did what you had to do, and a top 3 is nothing to shake your head about against the competition that we have in this league.
Yeah, with about 10 to go, I would like to have, kind of dropped out of the lead and been 4th or 5th. I'd have been a whole lot better position to get the win. It's just never good being the leader coming out of 4. It don't matter what decision you make, it's always going to be the wrong one.
Absolutely. Well, do you have anybody that you would like to thank tonight, or sponsors, or anything of that sort?
Oh yeah, I want to thank Steve Levin and SLiDESIGNS for sponsoring the Alabama Send It 250. I want to thank you guys in the booth for putting on an awesome broadcast. All the admins in the league that let us come out here and have a little fun on the weekdays. I want to thank my teammates at Payday and Cofield Asphalt Refinishing, Cofield Supply and Service. Love Talladega. It's my home track. Had the Alabama gang on there, kind of throwing it back to the legends there. So yeah, had a fun night, man.
All right. Well, one more question. I know Rain told me to keep it kind of short here, but I'm assuming you own the Cofield Asphalt Construction Company?
Yes, sir. Cofield Asphalt Refinishing.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not sure how many listeners we have from. See, you're more down south, aren't you?
Yeah, Alabama.
Okay. Well, I mean, just want to explain a little bit what all your company does.
Yeah, we seal coat parking lots, restripe them, crack fill, pothole repair, do a little bit of everything. We've got some papers we work with at Woodard Construction. We can pave driveways. We got enough people in our wheelhouse. We can handle about anything outside your property doors.
All right. Well, there you go. If anybody down south needs
Look us
any,
up on Facebook.
there you go. All righty. Well, Jonathan, great race tonight. We appreciate your time and congratulations on third.
Thank you, buddy.
Hey, absolutely.
Well, Kevin, generally at this point, it is fair game for our general interviewer to just pull kind of whoever he wants to talk to. We usually go about one or two guys more, but we usually try to see if it's guys of note, either guys who had a terrible night with a horrendous wreck you just want to talk about, or guys who just had a really surprising and very interesting, run. And I mean, I'm looking at this top 10. And I'm seeing a number of names here who had like really impressive nights. I'm thinking of guys like Devin Jack, who we saw really fighting things out. Maybe Jackson Samsel or one of the Boyles brothers. I think either of them could be a really good pull.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'd like to talk to Devin, kind of pick his brain going in the last couple laps.
Yeah, let's get Devin Jack in here, man. Hey, Devin, it's Rain and Kevin in the booth. You got us, man?
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Hey, Devin, what's going on? So, I believe you rolled off ninth for this race, and you ran up front for the majority of it, I believe. And we were kind of watching the broadcast, and you and Johnny Rapp were working that outside line, and it seemed to be working mainly off of turn 4. When you guys hit the white flag, did you try to back up and maybe create a run, or were you committed to Johnny pushing Johnny, or what was going through your head there?
I more or less just committed to pushing, seeing how far I could push him, because my truck was overheating for about a lap and a half, and I was just seeing what I could get out of it before the engine blew, hopefully before the checkered.
Yeah, I mean that definitely makes sense. It looked like you were fairly committed to Johnny the last 10, 15 laps you guys were running. You were pushing him extremely hard and doing a really good job of it. Yeah, go ahead.
I normally don't like this style. Like, plate racing's not my favorite thing, and I was stuck up front for most of this, which was not my intention, but it seemed to work out pretty well in the end. Tried to force it 4 wide there, coming to the white. Didn't work, but glad nobody wrecked out of it.
Yeah, and for I believe you've missed. Did you miss 1 or 2 races this season?
Missed over.
Okay, so either way, I mean, I've seen your name pop up a couple times on the broadcast. And sometimes some of those guys don't always get the recognition they deserve. So maybe why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself or who you are?
Yeah, not really much to tell there, man. Right, it's a recognition. Not really. Well, not really what I'm thinking about when I'm doing this. Normally I just try to ride in the back of these things, stay out of the way, like stay ducked out until I see some type of opportunity.
Oh man, I don't know if you're giving yourself enough credit. I've definitely noticed that you're a fast driver, clean driver. Definitely what the league's been looking for. You definitely put on the show tonight. You got any sponsors or anybody you'd like to thank?
Well, obviously this is league sponsored. SLiDESIGNS or SLiDESIGNS or however he wants that pronounced. Same with Dumpster Fire for bringing me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to. Did you have a good run at Watkins Glen? Are you more of a road course racer? Or do you prefer these bigger tracks?
I somehow do well on road with stock cars. I'm not much of a road racer. I was real happy with the Glen up until I hit the wall and blew the engine.
Well, that will always bite you in the you know what. But yeah, you definitely did a really good job tonight. Impressed a lot of people with the way you were pushing Johnny and how you ran up front. So congratulations.
No, thanks.
All right, let's take a look here. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I think if you wanted to talk to any of those guys from Impact, any of the Boyles brothers, whoever's still in, or Jackson, either of them would be a good bet at this point.
So we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm not trying to knock Michael Boyles, but I don't know if we should just do the top 5. I mean, maybe we should do Jackson.
Well, it's not a bad idea because Jackson is up 16 positions on the night. He wasn't our biggest mover. That was Cofield, but that's still very impressive. So I would love to hear from Jackson Samsel on this night.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Hey Jackson, it's Rain and Kevin in the booth. You got us tonight, man.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Hey Jackson, it's Kevin. So you started 22nd. Tell us a little bit, about your race. I wasn't able to catch all of it. We had the first 2 yellows, and kind of stacked everybody up and created a little bit of chaos. You were obviously able to make it through that. But how did you work your way all the way from 22nd up to 6th?
I just think being patient did most of the work. I mean, they kind of handled themselves in the back, and then during pit stops, just got to nail the pit stops and impact. Michael and Adam, I give them full credit. They did it too. We were just able to all work together, and we were going to make a move on the final lap. It just never really came about. We had planned it for about 15 laps, and then when the time came, we just lost our chance.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like there really wasn't a third lane. There was a couple guys that tried the third lane, and it would work for maybe half a lap to a lap. But you also had to have quite a few pushers and support behind you to make it work. Moving forward, how do you see your season playing out?
That was a good finish for us. I needed that top 10. It's the first one we've got all season. I'm looking forward to trying to sneak into the top 10 somewhere else. But with all of the races have been kind of chaotic in some way or another. We've had one major incident every week, and just avoiding that incident has been the biggest thing for me. I think we're into the top 16 now for the bracket challenge, so looking forward to whoever I'll get for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I did read the announcement about the bracket challenge. It sounds like a fun thing that you guys are doing in the truck series, and it'll be entertaining to kind of keep an eye on that. I've also had a complete brain fart about what else I was going to ask you about. I'm not sure if Rain has anything to
I mean,
to
I'd
ask you
say,
about here.
frankly, while you're kind of trying to catch up on that, Jackson, why don't you brief the audience at home a little bit on the bracket challenge and kind of give a rundown on what's coming up?
Yeah, I'll do that. The bracket challenge will take place over the next 4 weeks. We've been really looking forward to it. We took it from Denny Hamlin's idea that the Cup Series was going to do. It'll start next week at Bristol. We'll take the top 16 in points. They'll be sorted in a true bracket, 1 to 16, 2 to 15, so on. It'll start at Bristol. It'll be just you and the person you're facing. Whoever finishes ahead, they will get advanced to the next round in Canadian Tire. Same thing goes there. Same thing in Darlington with the final 8. Darlington would be the final 4. And then in New Hampshire, there's going to be 2 guys, and whoever will finish ahead between those 2 is going to get a $25 gift certificate to SLiDESIGNS, which is a pretty big prize. He has some great paints that he always offers out.
Yeah, well, that's always awesome. I mean, we always give big thanks to Steve for what he's ended up doing for this series so far, and Yeah, it's really exciting to me. Before you'd ever come up with it, I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if, like, since we've run a point system, what if we just did, like, for fun on the side, and we, like, showed people, what if we had, like, a playoff, like, type bracket system that, like, was independent but just happening simultaneously to see who would shake out winner here versus winner in points, just to kind of, like, track things down. And instead, I think the bracket challenge is kind of the best of all of those ideas in a much better fashion, a lot easier to track as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna have to get the stats from Sean. I'm gonna fill out the bracket tonight, and we're gonna get all the matchups set up. I can't wait. I think it's gonna be such a fun experience. Even though I'll get eliminated in the first round, I think it'll be fun because who knows? You may see a 4 seed and a 5 seed in the final, right? And that would be really fun just to see, those people go at it. People that aren't, the highest in points, but they took advantage of the race when it mattered. All it takes is one wreck on the final lap. Let's say at Bristol, and you've lost. You're out.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds like a guaranteed winner. We'll try to track it as best on broadcast as well when we're kind of given the format, and try to see what we can kind of explain to the viewers at home. I think it's going to be a really interesting, fun little side treat to the regular racing, to give a little added incentive as well to the drivers to try to finish as best they can and really push for those strategy calls to make the best of it. But I mean, big night for Impact. You guys ran in that front pack pretty much the rest of the race. You guys looking forward to Bristol?
No, I'm sure Michael and Adam are. They love Bristol. I not so much.
Oh, I mean, you've said some pretty down things on yourself a couple of times so far, and you've been pulling in top tens left and right from what I can see. So I mean, maybe that trend will continue. Maybe you won't be eliminated first round. I guess we're gonna have to wait till next week to see.
I hope so, man.
All right. Well, is there anybody else you wanna thank before we all head out of here?
Well, I want to thank SLiDESIGNS. He's sponsoring the race, Steve. He does a lot for the league. We all know that. Everyone in the league knows. All the admin. We've been through a lot this week, so just good on everyone else in the admin team for staying with it, and everyone that's being supportive. I just realized that the Backmarkers Racing YouTube channel is at 99 subscribers, so if anyone is watching this and they're not subscribed, they need to click the subscribe button, and
That's
let's
right.
get us over to 100 subscribers.
Boom. Subscribe button, bell icon as well. It'll tell you every time we go live and every time we drop a video.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say. That's it for me. Hit the subscribe button.
That's great, man. Well, thanks so much. Always appreciate seeing what you're capable of doing every week, and of course all the work you did in creating this league for us, Steve, and be able to start doing this and talking about it. It's not forgotten, so really exciting to see, and I hope you're excited to see how it's been morphing and evolving, and all the fun that's able to be had here. It's a brilliant thing that's come out of you.
Thank you.
All right, let's send him back up with his teammate there. But man, wow, wild night. I would love to display for everybody at home the final results grid. Unfortunately, our overlay system apparently is having an outage right at the end of the race. So I have not been able to pull anything up for you, but run down your top 10. It's Evan Pienta, Johnny Rapp, and Jonathan Cofield, a top 3 payday run. Devin Jack with Dumpster Fire Racing, Michael Boyles, Jackson Samsel, Adam Boyles for Impact Racing, Steve Loving for Off the Wall Racing, Brian Brobst for Vintage Racing, and Tyler Barnett for Backmarkers Racing / Evil Empire Sim Sport, rounding out your top 10 for the night. Well, Kevin, it was your first time in the booth. It was a super speedway. I don't think it disappointed. How did you think everything fared?
No, I thought it was an awesome race. Definitely had a blast up here calling the race. A little more relaxed than what I'm used to. Usually I'm spotting for Blake or one of the other Evil Empire Sports guys, and that's a little more intense. You're trying to read off lap times and help them where where it needs to be. But yeah, I definitely had a blast up here calling the race with you, and would definitely like to give a shout out to everybody at Backmarkers Racing and the entire league. One of the cleaner races I've seen for a super speedway. You know, Daytona was pretty clean, and this race also was pretty clean, and either one of them disappointed.
Absolutely not. Well, I mean, I know that DeTalon will probably be itching to try to get back in the booth and redeem himself from that 13th finish. Not a bad finish by any means, but not the one he wanted. I definitely know that he thinks, and he was, a lot faster and more capable here tonight. So there's a good chance we'll be seeing him climb back aboard a truck this season and try to run something out. So maybe we'll be seeing more of you yet after this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be back up here. Obviously, I had quite a bit of fun calling the race and watching some of the crazy moves that these guys are making. It's definitely a little more easy on my heart rate watching from the booth compared to being in the arca car, the truck, watching it happen. So, yeah, I'll definitely be back if possible, and hope everybody at home watching enjoyed the broadcast.
Absolutely. Anybody you want to thank before we send ourselves off out of here tonight?
Yeah, obviously, I thank all the broadcasters amongst all the series that we have, all the admins that we have in our league, the drivers. Obviously, if we don't have drivers, we don't have a show. And then everybody over at Evil Empire SimSport, they've definitely helped me become a better driver. Gotta give a shout out to my fiance Kenzie. I was planning on being off this week, and when the opportunity arose last night, I talked to her, and she okayed it. So that's always a blessing to have somebody support the things that you love and enjoy doing.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for joining me up here. Want to give one more big shout out to our series and race sponsor here at the Alabama Send It 250 at Talladega Superspeedway here in beautiful sunny Alabama here at 10:30 p.m. Central Time. It is SLiDESIGNS, of course. With over 20 years of professional experience and unique designs that meet NASCAR official standards, look no further than SLiDESIGNS for your iRacing livery needs. Visit SLiDESIGNS _ on Instagram today and reference Backmarkers for 10% off. That is SLiDESIGNS _ on Instagram, reference Backmarkers for 10% off. If you are not sure how to spell SLiDESIGNS, buddy, I don't know what to tell you. It's all over the video title. You can go back in the stream. It's on the logos everywhere. It is down below. There is a link to the handle for the Instagram. You got no excuse. You better be heading over there. I'm telling you, he races his own paints. A number of guys in the field race his paints. He's really great. You're gonna want to see what he's got, and he's very sensibly priced, I might add. So definitely go hit Steve up with SLiDESIGNS and give him a little work. Give him a little something to do on the side there. As always, want to give a big thank you to all of the drivers who show up every week and all of the fans who show up every week as well. Big shout outs to the Pienta family, as we said. The Sarah family generally likes to show up to things. The talent section always getting turned up. The Bali family as well, always liking to tune in and take a look at things. We really appreciate all of you for the dedication to tuning in and watching us turn circles for a couple hours in this great big beautiful video game that is iRacing. And so without you guys and without you drivers, we really couldn't be able to put all this stuff on. So thanks again. And we will be next week, as you've heard, heading to Bristol, and that will be the Soaring Solar 200. It will be at night. It'll be 200 laps. And that will be next Thursday, so make sure you are tuned in. But again, as always, that is not the only thing we have going on here at the Backmarkers YouTube channel. You want to also tune in on Monday for the Rescreened LLC Regional Late Models Tour. It's It's going to be round 8 at Irwindale, Outer. Late models will be 125 laps, and the Legend 34s are going to be doing 30 laps on the inner circuit. And that will be next Tuesday. Next Monday. Sorry, I almost cut off where you get to run, Kevin. That'll be next Monday for the late models and 34s here on the channel. And then, as I briefly alluded to there, on Tuesday we have the GTCC ARCA series. They will be out at Nashville Superspeedway for the as of yet named 133. It'll be 100 laps at night. That will be on Tuesday. And as for Wednesday, again, I hear tell of some things that are going down, but I do not have any details. So if you want to know, make sure you go like our Facebook page, our Instagram, as where you're going to find out any information on what's going live and what's coming up next. Those are all linked down below, or they're just at Backmarker Racing. Look for the B, that beautiful orange B. That's all you got to look for. But once again, want to say a big thank you to you, Kevin, for joining me alongside here. I have been your lead broadcaster, Rain Braun, and I am signing off for the night, race fans, saying to you all goodbye and good night.